Take the red pill. Take the blue pill. 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 You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Goes, 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 goes. Go, 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 go,
Now, from sunny South Florida, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala. Every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to midnight on the L&M Network. And now, your host, Riscala.
Well, hello and welcome. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. I am your host, Riscala. Tonight it's going to be a kind of a different kind of show. I getting ahead of myself. My mouth is going faster than my brain can think, or my brain is thinking faster than my mouth can put it out there. Oh my goodness. A little excited tonight because we're going to have Michael Bluemling Jr. He is I believe he's going to be the next congressional representative here in Palm Beach County, which is where we come to you every Saturday night from. So I don't often have political candidates on, as you well know. We talk about a lot of politics, but we don't really have candidates on per se. But I wanted to get this gentleman on because he has an opportunity to make a real big difference for us here in South Florida. Currently, that position is being held by a Democrat, and anybody who knows what's going on, with any degree anyway, has a pretty good idea. The Democrats don't really have our best interest in mind. Generally speaking, there are some good people out there who are Democrats. I have friends of mine who are Democrats, and they're good, God-loving, country-loving people. Unfortunately, their party has just been hijacked, and so many of them that originally did not like our president, they didn't care for our president. They weren't the ones who were cussing and, we need to throw him out and all that, but they just weren't happy that he won. They pretty much have accepted the fact that he's doing a good job, that he is lived up to his promises. They still don't like him as the person, but they're reluctant to tell me, but they are satisfied with the job that he's doing. They are surprised at some of the things that he's been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. So I'm grateful for the man. I don't agree with everything he does. I don't agree with everything he says. And I'm sure that a lot of his supporters feel the same way. We don't agree with everything he says, but we do agree that he is the man for the job at this time. And we are in desperate need of more people that are willing to stand up for the Constitution. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. If somebody tells you you have constitutional rights, or if you hear the word you have constitutional rights, or the term you have constitutional rights, I think it's been pushed on us so much that people think that this piece of paper is what gives us our rights. It's not coming from the piece of paper. The rights that you have, as we call them constitutional rights, were mentioned initially in the Declaration of Independence. They were called inalienable rights. The founders used some very specific wording when they decided to incorporate the basis of this country. And some of that was found in the Second Amendment, where it says infringe in arms. Another is this word alienate. And the rights that they are speaking of are not constitutional rights. They are God-given rights. They were given to us by our Creator, inalienable rights. If anybody has the authority to remove them, it would be our Creator, not another man, and certainly not a Congress, and certainly not a Senate, or a president for that matter. But you will hear this term over and over and over again. And then I'm asked, well, then what is the purpose of the Constitution? The purpose of the Constitution is to document what the government is supposed to do. They are supposed to defend that Constitution. And today we have people, representatives, openly breaking the oath that they have taken in an effort to fundamentally change, as they call it, America. Well, I have news for you. We don't need a fundamental change in the way America is run. We need a fundamental change in the mentality of some of these people who think that their poop doesn't smell and they can just do whatever they please. And I believe the noose is beginning to get tighter and tighter with regard to people who have broken the law and believe they are above the law. I think that the time is coming as we slowly rebuild our country. And part of the way of doing that is to put representatives, and many of you have heard me say this, let's get rid of the fat that is up there. And they are fat in the brain, and they are fat in their wallets. And they haven't helped us in the least bit. Let's get rid of them. Let's put someone up there who is responsible to the people. This particular man who will be on with me tonight is a veteran. Served in active duty, I believe, 2 tours. I may be wrong about that, maybe even more. This man knows what war is like. I have described to you many times what people go through when they go to war. I'll tell you, sometimes it's difficult to talk about this because of the knowledge. So we had a drone shot down. Iranians say the drone was in their airspace. The area that the drone was shot down is only 47 miles wide with regard to airspace. So it's very easy to step over and be trespassing, if you will. I'd also like to remind you that about a year and a half ago, I think it was, maybe a little longer, my mind is a blur when it comes to time, but it was about a year and a half ago, Iran brought down one of the most, I think it was the most sophisticated drone that we have. And when I say brought down, I don't mean they shot it down. They were able to hack into this thing somehow and brought the drone down complete in one piece. And then our CIA, our wonderful CIA, had the brass to go, okay, can we have our drone back? So it's not the first time we've infiltrated their airspace. So they shot down an unmanned aircraft. And the first thing the warmongers want to do is start a war over it. We lost an estimate of anywhere from $100 to a couple of $100 million piece of equipment. People are crying that we should retaliate. We should do this. We should do that. I said a little while ago that I don't agree with everything that this president does and says. But I want you to listen to this. I 100% agree with this.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois. President Trump confirmed today that minutes before a planned attack against Iran, He called it off. The president said the projected death toll of 150 people was too high. He said the plan was to hit 3 locations in response to Iran's downing yesterday of an unmanned U.S. surveillance drone. David Martin begins our coverage at the Pentagon.
If the president had gone through with the strike plan, this is what you would be looking at today. Pictures of 24 cruise missiles launching from ships. But 10 minutes before they were scheduled to fire, he called it off because, as he explained in an interview with NBC's Meet the Press, he didn't like the answers he was getting from his military advisors.
I said, I want to know something before you go. How many people will be killed? In this case, Iranians. They said, came back, said, sir, approximately 150.
The strike plan called for launching multiple missiles at each of 3 sites that were part of Iran's air defense system, which would have been fully manned round the clock.
They shot down an unmanned drone, plane, whatever you want to call it. And here we are sitting with 150 dead people. That would have taken place probably within a half an hour after I said go ahead. Yeah. And I didn't like it. I didn't think it was proportionate.
The Global Hawk drone the Iranians shot down was an expensive airplane, at $110 million more than a top-of-the-line jet fighter. Not worth 150 lives, but at the same time, says retired Admiral and CBS News consultant Sandy Winnefeld, Iran should not be allowed to shoot down aircraft with impunity.
We are in an interesting period of this crisis where it's possible the president has simply gone back to his military planners and asked for a better option that he might choose to execute anytime, now or at a later date.
If Iran shoots down another drone, military officers say they intend to be ready to retaliate much faster and with fewer estimated casualties. But the final go, no-go decision will still be up to the president. Maurice?
David Martin at the Pentagon, thank you.
And there you have it. How many other presidents, I wonder, would take the time to carefully think through how many lives versus how much equipment, how many dollars? So I agree 100% with the president on this decision. I don't think it's a display of weakness in any way whatsoever. I think it's a display of wisdom. That let's not just go and launch off of several dozen missiles into another country because they shot down a plane claiming that the plane was in their airspace. And there's a very good possibility that the plane was in their airspace. It's not the first time. It's not the second time. And we know that the aircraft that was shot down was a surveillance aircraft. So they know that they're being surveilled. And another point that few people are bringing up, they know they're being surveilled. We know that they're being surveilled by us as well as another couple of countries, if I'm not mistaken. I think the UK is involved. Britain is involved. So we know where those missiles came up from off of the ground. We have exact coordinates of where those missiles came from. Should they decide to make another mistake? Or should they decide that it's time for another tanker or something? We know exactly where to go. We know exactly what to hit. And it won't be pretty for them. And it won't be pretty for us. I got news for you. There's a possibility that China would join in. There's a possibility that Russia would join in. Then what we have on our hands is no longer just a small cold war, if you will, like we have in Iraq and Afghanistan and Yemen and Libya, and it won't be one of those little ones. And it won't surprise me if something happens here on our homeland because of the irresponsible manner that our borders have been taken care of. A lot of these wars have been pre-planned. Now, people call me a conspiracy theorist. Well, I get my information not from conspiracies, but from facts. I don't know, people like generals. I think he's a 4-star general, if I'm not mistaken. A general who has come out and openly stated, hear it for yourself,
to worry about Iraq, not Iran. I knew why, because I'd been through the Pentagon right after 9/11. About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary.
Now, this is September of 2001.
Some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran." I said, "Is it classified?" He said, "Yes, sir." I said, "Well, don't show it to me." And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, "You remember that?" He said, "Sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it."
You get the drift of the message. Wars have been pre-planned for many years. And this is coming from a general who served for our country, openly stating there are plans for wars far before any of them started. This is back in September of 2001. And they're talking about Syria, Iran, Lebanon, which we haven't heard much of at all, Libya, all of the countries that we're at war at right now was in this plan before we attacked them. And now we have, again, the crosshairs focusing on Iran. We have people within our government that are speaking out against the president for not attacking Iran. I guarantee you, if he would have attacked Iran, they would have spoken out against him. When he doesn't attack, they speak out against him. The only thing that would make them happy is for him to stop breathing. That is the joy of their world. That is how shallow these people have become. They will do anything they can to make this president look bad, anything that is possible within their power to remove him from the presidency. Forget about working with each other in the efforts and in the best interest of our country. No, we can't do that. What we have to do is raise your taxes, open the borders, and impeach this president. He is a criminal. Now, after 2.5 years, 2.25 years, I hear estimates of $20 to $40 million, some outrageous numbers of how many prosecutors were there, documents of over 1,400,000 different documents turned in, and during all of that inquisition, if you will, all of that investigation, they come up empty-handed. But yet they have the nerve to call this man a criminal. They've called him a traitor. It's getting to the point where we have a choice to make in this country. And it's sad because people think it's left or right. It's not left or right. It's right or wrong. What the Democrats are displaying is not the American spirit. It's not what this country was founded on. A consistent removal and infiltration of our rights repeatedly over and over and over. And they know that they have betrayed their oath because a portion of that oath that they take is in the defense of the Constitution. And when the Constitution says something like, oh, I don't know, free speech, you can talk and say whatever you want. You have a right to say and speak your mind. And look at what is happening to the conservatives across this nation, how they are being censored right and left. And yet the liberals on the other side can say whatever they wish, even if it is a lie, makes no difference. So I have been saying for some time, if you're expecting our president, who has done an outstanding job, to fix everything, you're in for a rude awakening. He can't do it all himself. He has to have help. And the first place he's going to get that help from is us. And the first way that we're going to be able to help him is to put people up there that are willing to work with him. Not brown nose him, not kiss his behind, but work with him. I just played for you a clip how our president decided not to attack another country because of 150 people he doesn't know. He has no idea who these people are. He has no idea if they have family. He has no idea. They could be murderers for all we know. But the compassion of this man to say, no, I don't want to do this, it is not proportionate to what they have done. There are other ways I know he can get them to pay that couple of $100 million. Besides, and as much as that couple of $100 million is, it's a drop in the bucket when you look at how much money the prior administration gave them in cash on pallets. So it'll be an honor and a privilege to have this young man on with me tonight. He wants to represent the Republican Party here in Palm Beach County, District 21. He is a constitutionalist. He wants to defend the Constitution, which is the very basis of what America is. And please don't let people fool you about continuing to call us a democracy. We are not a democracy. It is important that you understand that. We are a constitutional republic that uses democratic electoral systems. And people will cry to me and say, well, you know, we already have social systems in place. What about Medicare? What about Social Security? What about this? What about that? You know, you don't understand that with Medicare, with Social Security, with some of these things that they point out are already socialistic programs. We paid into those. We paid into those and they're paying us back as little as they pay back. But the point is we paid into them and they paid us back. In a socialistic system, what happens is you pay in, you may get something back, but the guy who pays nothing gets the same amount as what you paid in. They paid nothing, they get something, you paid something, you get a little something. And what is sad is in some cases, the people who haven't paid anything into the system will actually collect more than you will. Now, these are the things that need to be fixed. But there are higher priorities right now. Our country is about to go to war if we don't have some sensible people who make some sensible decisions. And one of the most sensible decisions I've heard is, no, I'm not going to go to war. over an aircraft that was shot down that had nobody in it. Had it had people in it, I think it would have weighed heavier on his mind. I really do. But it had nobody in it. There were no American lives lost. So I don't want to be responsible for killing 150 and starting probably a World War III before it was all said and done. So I'm not real sure why anybody would want to support the Democratic side, knowing what they stand for. And there are people literally criticizing this president because he hasn't lashed out at them. Hasn't lashed out at Iran. Because he hasn't lashed out at them for shooting down an unmanned aircraft that cost us a couple of $100 million. Instead, he's withholding decisions and asking them, look, you made a mistake. I'm opening the table. Come to the table. Let's make a bargain here. I mean, that's what he's best at. That's what he's known for. Let's sit down and talk business. Because right now you guys are hurting. Iran is hurting bad. They're hurting financially real bad. I'm willing to sit down and talk to you guys, but you're going to have to be responsible about it. The thing he does best. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
Grace has some pretty stellar arms, like Serena Williams good, but her face is pretty disgusting.
Someone please tell him to go back into his closet and leave us alone.
Britney's face is so stupid and I hate her so much. It's like a scientist created her in a lab to annoy humanity and didn't even do that good of a job.
Megan reminds me of a troll doll that came to life intent on killing us with her stupidity.
Why is Grace's head so big? It definitely has nothing to do with how smart she is and probably everything to do with how bloated she is.
He's so funny. Just kidding. Who would find this disfigured flamingo funny?
Never post a selfie of yourself. You look so ugly.
The only reason you have so many views is because we think you're a freak and we can't look away.
Megan is the main reason that the world sucks so much.
I would rather get cancer than listen to another Trevor Moran song.
You are a mistake. You should have never been born.
Drown yourself in a shallow puddle, please.
Wow, I hope she's sterile.
These really stopped being funny a long time ago.
You're so much more than the things that people say about you.
Those people have no right to say cruel things to you to make themselves feel better.
It's okay that you sound different than everyone else.
That's what makes you so special.
We will not tolerate it. We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
We will not tolerate it.
Every day, people make me feel like I stand out simply because of the way that I look.
Every day, people make me feel small.
Every day, I face the cruel words of bullying.
And every day, people tell me that I'm brave for enduring this humiliation.
But we're not the brave ones.
It's the ones that say no to the bullying.
The witnesses.
If we all join together, there's nothing that we can't do. We will no longer be the silent majority.
When we see bullying online,
we will let the world know that we're going to take action with the eye.
Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
Our actions will overpower cruel words.
I am a witness.
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 There is power in words.
But it's nothing compared to the power of the actions that we put behind our words.
Visit eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more.
I am a witness, and so are you.
I'm gonna stand by you.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscala.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the
All
red
right,
pill.
we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. An honor and a privilege to have you with me tonight. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. We have been posting about this special guest for the past 2 weeks in hopes of getting the word out there, because I believe what we're doing tonight is very vital to the survival of our republic. Again, we are a republic. We are a constitutional republic that uses democratic voting systems. But we are a constitutional republic, and that's extremely important to remember, especially when you're going to go vote for somebody. Because somebody's going to defend the Constitution is going to defend you. And I believe that my next guest is exactly that kind of person. His name is Michael Bluemling Jr., and he's going to be the next congressman here in Palm Beach County for District 21. Welcome, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Riscala, for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm excited about being on the show, and I think we're going to be able to get through a lot of topics and really get close with the constituents and the American citizens.
Let me get you are somebody that has witnessed war firsthand. What is your feeling about what our president did?
Well, the president, I believe, he really wants to ensure that, our country is protected and safe on many different fronts when it comes to foreign policy, diplomacy, immigration, and also bringing our troops back home safely. So I think, his plan with Afghanistan to get our troops home, that's fantastic. And also, working through the Iran deal, that was a terrible deal that the former President Barack Obama put into place.
Yes.
Which was an absolute disgrace to America, to have money sent to a terrorist country.
Yep.
It's just terrible. So I think the president's doing a fantastic job.
I really am extremely impressed with the wisdom that he showed. I can't even talk. The wisdom that he showed when he decided not to retaliate against Iran, and then explained that it was an unarmed aircraft that went down. We had lost no lives at that point, yet there were at least 150 that could be killed on the other side. And people he didn't know. Honestly, these are people who he has no clue who they are. It would be very easy to say, yes, go ahead and do it, and let's, hold our chest out and bang our chests. But he held their lives so important that he withdrew the decision at the last minute, primarily because they told him of the lives that would be destroyed. Not because of anything. This is why I admire this man. There's a lot, I said earlier in the show, things he does I don't agree with, but this one, I'm 100% behind. This, to me, shows wisdom. It, to me, shows you've made a mistake, you stepped on my foot, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to apologize. I'm opening up the bargaining table, and I'm asking you to come to the bargaining table. This is the kind of thing that I'm looking for when someone is supposed to be representing us as America. And I just wanted to get your feedback on what you felt about that. And I know that I have spoken to Robert, your manager, and he has explained to me that, yes, you are a strong constitutionalist, having been served in the military, and I thank you for your service. Having served in the military, you took that oath. And when you become our congressman, again, you will take an oath. And part of that oath is to defend this Constitution. I've been harping on that a lot the last couple of weeks about the Constitution and how important that is, because I believe that the importance of that has been kind of shifted. It's gone to something else. And having someone who's willing to take the oath and then defend the oath is somebody that we should support. And that's why I wanted to have you on and give you an opportunity to let the people know who you are, what you've done, and what you're looking to do.
Yeah, you know, when it comes down to Iran, I'm a person that believes in diplomacy. Anytime you, for example, with what happened with our drone being shot down, you know, our surveillance, you know what, if we send a bomb in, you know, there's going to be innocent people, innocent lives, that's collateral damage. But at the end of the day, this is still humanity, so we have to think about those things. That's one of the things I admire about our president. And when I am in U.S. Congress, I will be there supporting his agendas because I am a conservative, I am a patriot, I am a constitutionalist. I love America. I'm going to stand up in Congress against these other people in Congress right now who, quite frankly, are committing acts of treason. When you come out against this country, you start to speak in terms that are a lot of propaganda, a lot of rhetoric that is against being an American. You know, when I raised my right hand for this country, America called me. I was a part of pre and post 9/11. So I'm actually part of two eras, which is a very distinct, distinguished opportunity that I had for our country. Is that I got to see things, before and after. A lot of people on 9/11, they stood up and we have a lot of brave men and women and Gold Star families from people that we lost. And I want to say that, on the show right now, that everyone who served this country, you're an absolute hero to me. And I have the highest honor for what you have, the sacrifices and your family sacrifices that you have made for this country. So with that being said, when you have people in Congress that are working against our Constitution, working against our president, working against freedom, not able to balance a budget, not able to actually do the work that they're supposed to do, like in terms of Lois Frankel, not even showing up for voting 37% of the time or roundabout numbers, that's an absolute disgrace. And when the American people vote you into office, you have an obligation. And when I stand up, it's not for people to say, oh, well, he's a leader. He's going to be the same old. No. I am a leader who stands for the principles of this country. I stand for liberty, I stand for freedom, and I stand for justice. And those barriers that we have and obstacles to enhancing our freedoms, we should be giving more freedoms to the American people, not taking them away.
Amen.
So I'm going to stand up against those individuals who are doing those, and I'm going to fight because we have to fight for this country. We have to fight for our flag. And most importantly, we have to fight for the American people in the community.
I think some of the most disturbing thing for me is how easily people are swallowing this socialism thing, this pill that they're pushing out about socialism. And I think they equate socialism to similar things like in word, by the word itself. They equate it to something like social media. Oh, well, we get on social media, we have a great time. Socialism must be wonderful. And so they want to fundamentally transform our country into this socialism where everybody's going to get something for free. Nobody has to pay anything. Again, when we have people who are constitutionalists, they understand that socialism is a 180-degree turn from a constitutional republic. You cannot be a true American and say, yeah, I want to be a socialist or I want a socialist society. Or like Bernie likes to mix in with it. I want it to be a democratic, socialistic, blah blah blah. I equate that to, let me bake you a cake and I'll put a teaspoon of poop in the cake, and it's just a teaspoon. It's not going to bother you. You won't taste it. And that's what democratic socialism is to me. It's another teaspoon of poop just mixed in with some sugar on top to try to make it look alluring to you. This is insanity. We have to put people in who understand how this country is run. People who respect our Constitution will, in effect, respect us. And I hand that off to Michael. I believe he is someone who will do exactly that. Now, I know we both, you've said that you served. I have served. I got the Vietnam gig for me. Where have you served, and what branch were you in, sir?
And thank you for your service. I appreciate that. That's fantastic, because you know what? That preservation is what we have to carry on for future generations. So, individuals like us, we're just pioneers who are carrying the torch for the next generation. And, my father also served in Vietnam on USS Kitty Hawk. I was actually born in Fort Benning, Georgia, so I'm an Army brat. I was born at St. Martin Hospital on June 16th, 1978. I think it's, a very honor to be able to say that. A lot of families, are connected with the military. Someone in your family usually has served. My grandfather also served in Korea. As I mentioned, I'm pre and post 9/11. So when I went in, I went and did my basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. I did my advanced training at Fort Bliss, Texas. And then I spent 3.5 years either training for war or actually on a deployment. I was in the Kosovo conflict in 2000. And I was in Germany on 9/11, and then I was also part of the global war on terrorism, Operation Enduring Freedom, for my efforts in Germany right after the attack. So, people, there's always a ramp-up time, and you have to have training. There's so many different sacrifices that go into serving this country, as you are aware of. And I think a lot of times it's the little details. For example, you're out in the field, you're digging a foxhole, you have a little E-tool, it's a small tool, you're out there, it's raining, you have an MRED, you just have you and your battle buddy, you're digging a foxhole, which is a small hole where two people can fit in. You have a little, in the corner, you're going to have something, if somebody throws a grenade in there, that you can, try to get it to fall into a corner to minimize the blast. And then you're in that foxhole for maybe a few hours, and then it took you about maybe 8-10 hours to build and fortify it. By the time you do all that, and then you're only there for a few hours, as I mentioned, and then you're on to the next thing. It's that level of detail in Congress when you're writing legislation that is so critical. And when you talk about socialism, now I was a GS-12. I was an investigator for the Department of Labor. I also worked for the Department of Veterans Affairs. I had about 13 years with the government before I graduated with my master's from Penn State in Human Resources. And during that time, this is when Barack Obama was in office. I served under President Clinton and also President Bush, who I met in a ceremony in Dallas, Texas. I also happened to meet Barack Obama in Richmond, Virginia. So I've been around a lot of people that are in the decision-making process. And what I try to do is always try to learn from other people. But when I was in government, when it was growing, one of the things, I worked in employment law, affirmative action, equal opportunity. I saw firsthand how women and minorities in this country are discriminated against, how big government doesn't actually help them, even though they want to help them. That's so big that you're not making a dent, not a little single dent. So you're growing government under Barack Obama and nothing is changing. Now that's firsthand knowledge that I saw, and it's heartbreaking when you see families working day in, day night, and then you have discrimination, you have disparities where American people are not being treated equally based on race or gender or ethnic, religious backgrounds. I mean, that's a problem. If you pay your dues in society, you should have something there for you. People in America, for the most part, don't want a free pass. They want an opportunity. That's why my platform and what I'm going to be bringing to the table is based on providing resources and education to the communities while eliminating fraud, waste, and abuse. We have so many organizations within the community that are just taking advantage of people every single day, whether it's a pharmaceutical company who, instead of helping to fix the problem or counseling for a behavioral health issue to try to rectify the situation or having a reasonable accommodation in the workforce, we have to be more sensitive to the community. So what happens to the community members, they've been deceived. It doesn't matter what side of the house you're on. If you're a Democrat or a Republican, you're still an American. I serve the American people. That's why I raised my right hand and I went across the ocean for this country, willing to put my life on the line. And I'm no different than anyone else. I'm proud to be an American. I'm proud to have served this country. But at the end of the day, we have to care about each other. People in the community are sick and tired of people going to Congress and having special interests and doing absolutely nothing for the community.
We're witnessing that today. Exactly that today. All they're doing is bickering and whatever they can to stop this president from moving forward in any way, shape, or manner. They have openly betrayed the people with their disgusting ways of stopping all of the funding for the Southern Wall, where it's already been documented and proven. So it's no longer a theory. It's nobody's idea. It's not manufactured. We have a major crisis going on, yet they sit back and speak about how this president has done things that he hasn't done. But they'll openly lie and say that he's a criminal and he's a traitor and he's this and he's that. We've got to get rid of people like that. We need to put people in like Michael who will take the responsibility seriously. I don't think they take the responsibility seriously anymore. I don't think that they believe that they're there to serve the people anymore. And this is what we desperately need to change. And this is what I have been begging our listeners to do. Start getting involved. Do something. There's many things we can do. You see what I'm doing? I have somebody who I believe will be the next congressperson. Someone I believe who will be responsible when they get up there as a representative of the people, to the people, not to their pockets, not to global interests, but to the people. And that's what we need more of now. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is we the people. We, the people, have to find people like Michael Bluemling Jr. who are out there, who are willing to take the oath, take it seriously and responsibly, and make sure that the representation that they provide is for us, the people, because that's where we have lost. We're 20 some odd $20 trillion in debt. When I say that number, people really don't have any idea how much just $1 trillion is. If I decide that I want to give you $1 trillion and I pay you $1 per second per day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you will outlive it. Your children will outlive it. Your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, will take 32,000 years to give you $1 trillion at $1 a second. 32,000 years. And we're 20 some odd of them in debt. And look at our infrastructure in this country. We're rapidly falling apart. Why? Because of the irresponsible decisions that people within our government have made. One of the greatest, I believe, Achilles heel to our country is our loving of other people and allowing them to come in. Well, we have allowed so many to come in that they are overwhelming our financial system. They are the financial burden that we are paying for, where many of us could have such a much better way of life if this burden didn't exist. We are constantly threatened with things like, well, we don't know if Social Security is going to be fluent in, I can't remember the word that they use, but in 2025 now, I think it is. These are things that we have paid for, but yet they are being diluted and literally stolen from us. And in the manner that they're being stolen is by irresponsible decisions that we have representing us, people in our government representing us, making these irresponsible decisions based upon political influence rather than what is right and wrong. Am I right, Michael, or am I off base here?
Absolutely. This is the thing. When you have legislators in the legislative body and they're charged to do a specific job, when they fail to do that job, for example, with the budget that we're discussing here, when they fail to do that, the ramifications, keep going and going and going. It takes years and years and years and years to really uncover and get things back to a baseline. That's why it's so imperative for someone like myself to get up to Congress, to be able to write good legislation and balance the budget. One of the things I want to be known for, and I'm going to be one of the first people to stand for this, if we can't balance the budget, forget a conciliation agreement or a CR, a conciliation resolution, where you're going to allow the government to stay open. we shouldn't get paid. People in Congress, when you can't come to an agreement on the budget, you shouldn't get paid. There's no reason that the American people should be penalized when you have a group of professionals and leaders in this country, community leaders, civic leaders, who are charged to do a specific job and they don't do their job and they still get paid. And then the post office aren't open, national parks aren't open, federal employees aren't paid. And then guess what? They're out of work for 2 or 3 weeks and then they come back to work and they get reinstated and they get all their back pay. That's not productive for America, because when you're a civic servant and you're working in the federal sector, or, that you're going to be a federal employee, and those wages, this all increases into our debt. And we have to be better stewards. I mean, at the end of the day, we can't just kick the can down the street anymore. We have to have responsibility. We have to have accountability. That's one of the things that I really want to stand for, is being a leader who is accountable to the people. And we have to look each other and look at each other face to face and say, you know what? We can do better. We should do better. We will do better. And I believe it starts with our commander in chief, President Donald Trump. I think he's a fantastic leader, whether you like him or not. He's getting the job done. The stock market's doing fantastic since he's been in office. GDP is going up. We're creating better trade agreements. There's a lot of different factors that, we're trying to hold China accountable for some of the things that they've been doing. We're trying to get a better deal with Iran. We're trying to, with North Korea, we're trying to get them to, come to their senses and realize that having, nuclear warheads is not good for a global trade or global relationships. So many different things that he's doing. NAFTA, NAFTA was an absolute disgrace to our country. We're absolutely getting bombarded and just overtaken. It's like stealing candy from a baby. It's like, you at a point, it's like, when do you stop the bleeding? And so people aren't taking all that into account. So I have a lot of respect and admiration for the president. He doesn't have an easy job, but he also came in and he had a mission, and he has a strong faith. I believe in God. I have a very, very strong faith in God. Actually, a lot of people humbly, I believe, have been saying I'm like Donald Trump in a lot of ways. Even some of our staffers through social media have made comments to me, and I'm just tenacious. You have to have that fight in you to stand up in the face of adversity. Now, I've also published 3 self-help books. So I've been working in the community my entire life. I just, I've had some things that happened in my childhood, had a tough childhood with my father. He turned to drugs and alcohol when he got out of the military, and he had a tough run at it. And so I grew up really tough. But one of the things I learned as a child is that you're only a victim of your circumstance if you make yourself a victim of your circumstance. Beyond that, you have the power and control. That's what being an American is. You have the ability. It's not going to be easy. No one's going to hand you something on a silver platter and allow you just to move forward. But when you seek something better, that's what the American dream is. That's what the American people want. They want hope. They want to have love. The greatest gift in this world is love. When you love your neighbor, you love yourself. And when you love yourself, you love your neighbor. Love is the cornerstone of what our president is bringing to the American people. Whether they like that or not, that's the truth. That's the fact. And when you speak the truth, you have nothing to run from or hide from. Now, one of the things as well, it's like draining the swamp. He's very right about that. We have a lot of backstabbing that's going on in our communities. Community leaders have a responsibility to have the most qualified person come to the table and be the representative that you support. When you see down here in Palm Beach County in 2018, when we don't have a single representative, and Lois Frankel's just basically hand walked back to Washington, D.C., and on the president's his speech, his entrance speech, a lot of these radicals are wearing all white, standing out against our president. They should be wearing red, white, and blue. This is a patriotic moment, the State of the Union that our president's giving. And a few days before that, Nancy Pelosi didn't even want him to speak. This kind of censorship is harmful to the American people. So if your leaders are acting in this manner, how do you think the community is going to act? So it begins and ends with the community. And we as leaders have to step up to the plate. We have to do a better job. And we can't say, hey, guess what? We're going to wait for tomorrow. We have to start today.
I know that you were at the rally in Orlando when the president announced his bid for re-election. How was the atmosphere?
You know what? I was so proud to be an American that day. And and meet a lot of the great people. There's just so many people excited. You know what? This fake news, and the president keeps talking about it, the censorship, it's such an attack on our First Amendment right to freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
I did not see one protester down there. I saw no one causing a disruption. I saw no one who wanted the president to not be reelected. And also on the back end, I saw that the president had $28 million raised in one day.
Yeah, it was amazing.
The effect that, to the effect now, it's kind of like, okay, some of my constituents, save some of that money for Michael Bluemling Jr. in District 21 because I need to help the president. Let's go.
Yeah, that was amazing. I found it really interesting how, and the estimates are in the tens of thousands of people that were there. I found it very interesting how this huge crowd came in. There were no cars overturned. There were no buildings set on fire. There were no windows broken. There were no riots in the street. Everybody came peacefully, and everybody left peacefully. And the reports that I read is that the place was pretty clean when they were done. There wasn't junk everywhere. So these were, generally speaking, these were pretty well-behaved people, if you will, putting in mild terms. They are respectful not only of our country, but of our circumstances and our environment. So when you left, did you notice, was there trash everywhere, Michael, or was it about the same as when you came in?
Well, you know what? Great point there. I want to thank our first responders, our fire and police that were out there that day because they did a fantastic job. You know what? It started raining about halfway through outside, and some of those people, as you know, were waiting for a few days. They were so excited that maybe this was their first rally to go see the president. I've been to a couple presidential rallies before, so for me, it's always exciting when you're in that atmosphere with the people because that's where I light up. When I'm with the people, I get so excited. This one family, this boy was running around, and I said, "Where's your dad at?" So I went to go get his dad. He brought him over, and I was teaching him how to salute.
Cool.
It's just like one of those moments when you can just really share something in an intimate way with your fellow countrymen and women. And I just have so much respect for those people. The people that were out there, those are your everyday people who work. They're doctors, they're teachers, they're lawyers. We have a lot of great people in this country, but we also have a lot of bad characters, and the president talks about that. And I just want to bring this up. It might be a little bit unrelated, but it does relate to it in a certain way. We had a $4 billion scam against Medicare. These professionals who have robbed our senior citizens, our retirees, our baby boomers, who have paved the way for us, and they've made sacrifices for this country. $4 billion in Medicaid fraud. I still, when this report came out a couple months ago, this is on the front of my mind because this is an absolute disgrace. I'm not seeing anyone in orange jumpsuits. These are doctors, business leaders. These are people in the community that people look up to. Why are they not in prison? Why are these people not held accountable? And why do the American people have to continue to suffer for people who commit fraud, waste, and abuse against innocent Americans?
I think that people are, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, people are tired of this duality with regard to our legal system. It is evident and very clear to a lot of people that if you have the right last name or if you know the right people in the right circles, you can get away with quite a bit. And I think that the American citizen, the average person, is tired of it. I don't think it would have ever been exposed had this president not come into office. I think it would have been swept under the rug long ago. We would not know about any of this. So I'm grateful for that. But now it's time to take action against these people. And again, my whole reason for having you on tonight is because I believe people like you will take action against these people and they'll put them in their place. And we will continue to, quote, drain the swamp. I've said from the very beginning, anybody who thinks that this man, Donald Trump, can do it all on his own, you're in for a rude awakening. No one man can do it all on his own. And he himself has openly stated, it is we, you and me, who's going to get this accomplished, not him alone. And the way that we're going to do that is by bringing people like Michael into the picture. Oh, my dog is mad at me. Bringing Michael into the picture. Try to kick him out of my studio here. Anyway, yes, with people like Michael out there, who are willing to put their foot down and go, no, you're not going to get away with this anymore. You're going to be held responsible. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, accountability, a lot of people ask, what does that really mean to be accountable? And in my definition, it means, taking responsibility within yourself. You can't look to the left and the right for the answers every time. Sometimes you have to be a leader and you have to say, you know what, there's something isn't right here. Let me raise my hand. Let me do something about it. We're taking a lot of steps in this country to move forward, especially with the technology that we have available to us, especially, for some example, like body cams, for example, with police officers. I think that's a fantastic thing.
Yep.
These advances in technology, we have opportunities here in South Florida to bring a lot of this technology down here and create infrastructure. As you alluded to earlier, another area that's an area of opportunity down here is infrastructure. We have a lot of problems down here with our roadways, and we need a lot of our national roadways, our critical roadways, such as 95 North and South. These roads need addressed. You can't carry 1,200 people a day coming to Florida without investing in the infrastructure. And this is a problem across the entire country. So when you kick the can down the street, then you don't have, monies available for bridges, roads, critical hospital advancements. People are getting, people are living longer. So you need to have the infrastructure to be able to support that. And so when you have individuals who are, stealing from the system, so to speak, and then you have illegal immigrants who are coming to this country, then you have a crisis. And that's what I believe we're at right now. We're entering a period of time where we have a lot of humanitarian crisis in this country. Homelessness right here in Palm Beach County. Lois Frankel has done absolutely nothing. Down at the Bright Line in West Palm Beach, I was just down there with a couple of my staffers about a month ago. There's so many homeless people just living right in broad daylight downtown. You have like a little social district there. You have restaurants and businesses, and then you have homeless people living on the streets right in her backyard.
Yep.
She used to be the mayor of West Palm Beach,
Yeah.
and nobody's doing nothing about it. And honestly, that's an absolute disgrace, because when you leave the people behind, when you forget about how you got where you're at, and you look around you and you look socially at, thank God we have a governor, Ron DeSantis, who's an awesome man. I have a lot of respect for him. I know we're going to do a lot of work. I want to bring a lot of business down here to South Florida. I want to work with our governor. I'm already working with our Department of Veteran Services for the state of Florida with Forward March. I was just up in Jacksonville a few weeks ago. I'm not just someone running for Congress. I'm also a community leader working in Tallahassee on the issues for the community with veterans and community-based organizations. I'm always trying to find opportunities that we can be more efficient and have better results for the community. And so when you see what the governor did with sanctuary cities, we got to raise your hat to them. Like, thank you to all of our leaders in Tallahassee at the state level here in Florida, because at the end of the day, the local leaders are just as important as individuals like myself at the national level. So we really want to create an environment that is all about the United States of America.
And we are, at one time we were called the melting pot. I don't think we're the melting pot anymore. I think we're diluted because we have allowed people to use our good-hearted nature as a means and a justification to just literally overwhelm us with people. And I'm the first one to tell you that I support immigration 100%. But I support it in the proper manner, where you just have a flood of people coming in. You don't know who it is, who they are, where they're coming from, and they come into your country. I cannot agree to that, because I don't know who they are. I don't know what their purpose is. Some of them may appear to be the most innocent people in the world, yet they're waiting for the perfect opportunity to do damage to our country, because this is what they live for. So unless we do it properly, no, I don't want people just coming into our country. I came from another country. I was born in Cairo, Egypt. I came here when I was 5 years old. I was fortunate to have, my dad was born in Boston. And I was fortunate to have a father who was responsible enough to, as soon as we got here, he filed the necessary paperwork so that we became naturalized American citizens. We paid into the system for God knows how many years. The system is now paying me back because I'm semi-retired now, and I see clearly, much more clear, I should say, what my dad was so upset about during his as he got into his golden years, how things were misappropriated, and yet it seemingly is hopeless when you have people covering people who are doing nothing but misappropriating funds to help themselves or help best interests when it's all said and done, helps them. Of course, they help their friends, and their friends help their friends, but when it's all said and done, it also helps them. But it leaves out the most important aspect of this equation. It leaves out you and me. It leaves out the American citizen, which Michael pointed out. It is because of us that they are up there. So let's make it because of us that Michael is up there, that we have someone up there who will respond in a responsible manner to what we need. And our you talked about education. Let me ask you quickly, because this president has been criticized repeatedly about all the money he's taken out of education. He's removing the federal aspect out of education. How do you feel about that?
Well, education reform is not a question of when, but how. We need to do that immediately. Education system, we want to help people. We want to provide education that allows people to grow. But what's also more important is we want to have the jobs that support the educational degree that you received.
Yeah.
So right now we have a drop off because there's no accountability, as we've been discussing at the university level, and we're losing a lot of the basic things. Like, for example, our children aren't being taught cursive anymore. We're not having civics.
That is coming back, by the way. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was saying that's coming back. The cursive, it is coming back, thank God. But but I know where you're coming from. They stopped it. They're dumbing down the people. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say, that, you take away civics out of high schools. You start to dilute. If you look at the literacy rates in this country, we're going down. I think we're like number 18 in the world or something. I don't know the exact number. I forget. I looked at it recently. But we aren't even a top leader when it comes to our literacy rate. We should be number one. We are a country of the world that is viewed as the top country. And when it comes to how we're viewed literally, we're not. That's a huge problem from my perspective. So we have to do a lot better. Just giving out, student loans to help someone go to school, I think that's great. But also you have to have a job on the back end so they can pay it back. If someone, for example, I have 4 degrees and certifications. I had to borrow money. I was working full-time. I was going to school full-time. Thank God for the loans. I also had my GI Bill, my post-9/11 GI Bill. That definitely helped. But I'm in student loan debt. I still have student loans that I need to pay off. It's affecting so many Americans. Until we address the issue, we're just kicking the can down the street when it comes to Social Security, educational reform, all these different aspects, healthcare. We can't say, hey, tomorrow. People aren't saving like in the past. A lot of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. The middle class is shrinking. We have so many things that have to be tackled today. And you know what? The great thing about it is I can't wait to jump in. I can't wait to put my hand in the pile because I love America and these issues can be solved, but you need someone willing to do it. It starts with you. If you're not willing to do it, if you don't have people that are willing to do it, then we have a problem. So educational reform is critical for our country moving forward. We can't write a blank check. So when you hear people like Warren in Massachusetts saying, oh, well, we should give out free education. I don't think that's right at all. We don't want to give out free education because then what? What does somebody have when you give out a free education? What you should have is someone that gets an education and they have a job that's going to match their education. That's important because then you empower somebody to do it for themselves. They have something that when I received my education, I was thrilled to receive it. I'm not thrilled for the debt I have, that's for sure, but I'm so proud of the education I have because it shaped my mind. It allowed me to move forward and have clearer thoughts and theories and application and business and so many different things, especially for me. I came from a vulnerable population. I grew up in Section 8 housing. My dad was on drugs and alcohol, unfortunately. He's a veteran. He's passed away now. But, I understand what it's like to see somebody in your family get food stamps and sell them for cash so that you can buy drugs or alcohol. We have social problems that we have to address. But when you come from that environment, we have so many people that are living in single-family homes. And we have mothers who are trying to take care of their families and be good stewards. And they have to get 3 buses to get to work. I want to stand for those people in the community who want a better life for themselves. They don't want a free ticket or a free handout. They want something that they can build on, something that they can be proud of. And when their kids graduate college and after high school and they have a degree in their hand and they're in New York City and they have an internship and they have a great opportunity with a fantastic company, that's what we should be doing for Americans.
Amen. I like that. And that's everything that I stand for, as you basically just described. That there are people out there, and I think the key word is hope. I do agree. I think the key word is hope. That is something that seems to have, for many of us, have fallen by the wayside with the last administration, the way we were treated, and those of us who saw what was going on, kind of sort of behind the scenes kind of thing, politically, could see what was happening as the country was continuing to deteriorate literally before our eyes in a short period of time. I mean, some people think 8 years is a long time. In this grand scheme of things, 8 years is not even a teardrop. It's not even a drop in the ocean. It's nothing. And to see the drastic change that occurred to this country within that short period of time is very scary. And I believe that's one of the reasons that we're having such a difficult time now to turn things back around, is because we have suffered for 8 years under this conditioning, if you will, this allowance of so many things to go on that so many people didn't agree with. Anyway, I have a caller, and it's area code 305, so let's see who this is. Caller, you're on the line.
It is the angel has landed.
Oh.
I just really want to make a comment.
Sure.
This is a great show, and Michael, I'm listening to every word. I'm from South Florida, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and I just have total respect. I mean, everything that you said about the challenges in your childhood doesn't seem to have affected you in your adulthood. And I think that gives hope to so many people.
Yep. I agree. Michael, let me tell you, this is Angel Strong. She is many times my co-host. I had begged her to call. She wanted me to fly solo with you tonight. I said, no call in, because you always have a unique point of view. Angel also does a show on the network by herself, but she's usually my co-host, and that's why I begged her so much to call in. Thanks for calling, Angel. I appreciate it.
I really do, because, I am in a political arena, and I understand all that. I mean, he is up against Frankel. Has the audacity when people are living in tents.
Yeah.
They're living in street tents like urchins. It's terrible. And if we don't have somebody that wants to bring a better lifting to the people, because that area was always beautiful and there were so many people that was thriving. It's just bad government. And I think with somebody like Michael running, the push behind, and I looked at some of his videos, the youth are so smart in some of those areas, it's unbelievable. And he's interviewed them.
Go ahead, Michael.
You know what? I'm appreciative you saying that, because you bring up some great points. First of all, Lois Frankel has $1 million about in the bank. We need the community. People always say to me, "You sound angry. Why are you so like passionate? Like look, we have to fight right now. People don't understand what we're up against right now. People are living in a false reality.
Yes.
The reality is that Lois Frankel has special interest, and that's what's continuing to have her thrive in the political sense down here in South Florida. Now, we have to break out of this bondage, so to speak, and these chains, and the community has to rise up. I'm only as so strong as the community. So I'm very appreciative that you're bringing up these comments, because people drive by there, they walk by there, the tents and what people are going through with just an obvious disrespect for humanity. When will you stand up in the community, the people? When will the people say, we're not going to take this anymore? Saying that Lois Frankel is doing a bad job, or Lois Frankel isn't here, or she's forgotten about us, that's great. But until you take an action behind it, it means absolutely nothing.
Oh my gosh, that's point taken. The fact is also we need this in Florida because Florida is a state that we need representation in. I mean, it's not little and it's not important. And people like Frankel who have made, like you said, her bank account's busting while everybody else is busted. It's so obvious to anybody that's really pays attention to what's going on. But here's another thing. The con artist that she is, people are just voting in an area that they don't even pay attention to. And once you have explained to have your military background, hey, I know you didn't just salute the flag, you served it. And to me, that speaks volumes. I mean, just right out the gate, Michael, and I'm a Floridian. So I know, and I have a big mouth. And believe me, I will be talking about you. Riscala, I think you can witness that.
I don't know about a big mouth, but she's very, very bright young lady with a lot of knowledge. And she, I hope you don't get mad at me. She's related to a state prosecutor. I think it was a state or county prosecutor.
Well, Richard Gerstein, who is deceased now, was my godfather, and I lived with him. I mean, he was a Democrat, believe me. You know, the joke is Janet Reno babysit me up until I was old enough to go to through elementary school when she was just a fledgling lawyer down there. But I mean, I grew up in the arena of politicians, and it is time that we have somebody, and I don't have to do anything like this. This isn't anything that I'm getting involved in, but I will promote Michael because he served our country and he wants to serve the community. It's that simple. Instead of self-serving himself.
Where everybody benefits.
I appreciate that, and I'd love to be on your show as well, Angel. And, that's what it is. It takes the community to take ownership and come back to the table, regroup. I have community-based organizations that right now are just thrilled, and we also have the old guard that is trying to stop my advancement on the battlefield. Look, I'm an infantry guy. I was a non-commissioned officer. People may not realize this about me, but I served 4 years. I'm highly decorated, and I received an Army Commendation Medal when I left, actually, which is one of the second or third highest peacetime awards that you can receive. So basically, a accumulation of all my service during those 4 years. But I made sergeant from E1 to sergeant, a non-commissioned officer, in 2 years of being out of training. I worked my butt off. I love this country. And like I mentioned earlier, it's the little details. But that's what it takes in the community. We have so many veterans right now that they're not getting the services that they need. They're just being completely forgotten. And then you have illegal immigrants coming to this country who want to be treated with more than people who are willing to die for our country. We have a problem.
Big problem.
People just want to turn a blind eye, and I think it's just an atrocity. We have to do better. Young Republicans, young conservatives who want to stand up and rally against the movement, they're afraid. We have people afraid in Palm Beach County, in Florida, in America to stand up because they feel if they do that they're going to be cyberbullied, that they're going to be censored through Twitter and all these other social media platforms. It's an absolute disgrace. If you can't be for all Americans, then you should be shut down. I don't care how much money that you're making. If you're trying to stop the rights of the First Amendment, then you should be completely stopped.
I mean, I could not agree with you more. It speaks volumes to me that not only are you fighting for your geographical area, but that you're fighting for the veterans, on all areas. That to me, I don't think I need to say another word. You guys are handling this show like champions. But I mean, I'm interested and I'm going to follow up and I will email you because I can help in some ways. That's all I am going to say.
Well, God bless you, and I thank you for that. I'm so glad you called in. I love interacting with the people. I hope we whatever time period that we have on the rest of the call, I hope we have 100 people call in. That's where you find out the issues. That's what you find out what people are really dealing with. It's great to talk about it, but I'm a man of action. When you ask me a question, I go get a result. I just ran into a veteran the other day at the rally, actually, in Orlando. Now, this guy wrote a letter to Governor DeSantis, Rick Scott, and Senator Marco Rubio. Nothing wrong against any of those people. I'm sure they're very, very busy. But this guy's having a medical issue with the VA, and he's not getting his answer. That's a problem. It's not calling any out of any of our leaders. I'm sure they got thousands and thousands, and I will have thousands and thousands. But I want to make sure I hear the voice of the people. The thing about me, I'm accessible. This morning I was at Wawa, and I ran into somebody that saw me in Orlando. I was at the gym, and I got 18 petitions signed in Delray Beach, Florida, after my workout. I'm out in the community every single day. I'm not hidden behind a gates where you can't reach me. I'm in the community. I'm with the people. I want to talk to them. I want to find out what's important to you and your families. I want to find out what I can do better, because I'm only as strong as the community, again, as I mentioned. And if I know the issues, I understand the issues, then I can actually do something about it.
And it's pretty clear that you prefer dialogue over monologue. And that's the only way to get anything solved, is to listen and speak. It can't be just one and not the other. And when you say that people think you're angry because you're passionate, well, compassion is part of being passionate. And if you're just lukewarm, that's not going to get anything done. We don't need any more milquetoast. We've had a bunch of those. We need somebody that's a scrapper. Trump is a scrapper. Yep. Doesn't mean you have to pick fights. It's got to be done with love. But it can't be something where you can become a roadmap. We can be welcome maps, but not just doormats of roadmaps. So I understand you, and I appreciate you. And as a Florida chick, I'm going to support you.
Thank you, Angel.
I appreciate that.
Okay, now don't go away, Angel, because I want you to hang on. I want to ask, and I know this question may sound facetious. I'm not trying to be smart. I truly don't know everything about this question. What are the I know that Congress is responsible for making laws. What else are they responsible for?
Well, they also have to balance the budget. You have to put a budget together that's approved. You also have to, when there's emergency funding, for example, if we have a hurricane down here in Florida, Congress is going to meet to, help the president have an appropriations of funds that are going to help us to be able to make sure that the people that are affected negatively, if it's a national emergency or whatever the case may be, that we're able to respond. Mm-hmm. Congress has a lot of responsibility.
And with regard to the district itself, now we're talking about District 21. What area is District 21?
So it runs from Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard down to Boca, most of the area, cuts over to the Wellington area, and then it's West Boca. Because Ted Deutsch has District 22, which is in East Boca. Mm-hmm. So it's a pretty big graphical area, and that's the thing about Lois Frankel is it just had some realignment a couple years ago. So she was 22, now she's 21, and so it's been it's a heavy retirement community, to be honest, and it's also a heavy Jewish community, which I'm happy to say that I am Judeo-Christian. I stand with our allies, especially Israel, 100%. I 100% condemn the persecution of all Jewish and Christians and all Americans. We can't allow for people to be thumbed down or to be murdered and killed. When I was in Germany, I actually went to Dachau, and it's the largest concentration camp in Germany. And I have so much respect for what occurred there, not only from the perspective of the American people who fought to end that tyranny against Adolf Hitler. He should not be praised for his actions. He was an absolute disgrace to the world, and the murders and the lives that were impacted for centuries. I mean, people are affected today, and no one's talking about that. It's forgotten. And we have to understand that, when people are persecuted, that, when you have a holy war, you have an attack on your religious beliefs, that's a problem. And that's what America stands for. We're the land of opportunity, and we're the land of the free because of the home, and we're the land of the free because of, we're the land of the free because of the people that fought for our country, because of the brave, So,
Absolutely.
It's important. Yeah. We're the home of the free because of the brave. There you go. As I was.
That's live radio. We make every mistake known to man and then things that aren't known to man. But I am the resident Jew chick on this station. So, it's frustrating for me sometimes to have Jewish Democrats in the family. I mean, Shabbat dinner is never, Shalom is supposed to be peace. We're ready to wring each other's necks. But I'm trying to get them to understand, if they can't understand by now that the conservative side is pro-Israel, if they care that little about the state of Israel, then, Houston, we've got a problem. And I know the area. Of course, I've been to every synagogue down there in the Boca area. I think the tides are changing. That's just my perspective of, being in a circle down there often. And I'm hoping so.
Well, this is the
because
thing.
The Jews have leaned towards the left. I mean, there's no question.
Well, this is an emphasis of my campaign. This isn't a political stunt. This is something that's in my heart. I've been Catholic my entire life, but I was an altar boy as a kid. Been a lector as an adult, and now my Monsignor wants me to join the Knights of the Columbus, which I did. So be involved more. I guess I'll find time where I can do that, but I guess God will help me find a way. But the thing is that the people in the Jewish faith have been lied to so many times that they don't want to be lied to. Like you mentioned earlier, compassion. The thing that's going to make me different with people within the Jewish community is my heart. I love the community. I love the people. And they have to realize for themselves, I don't try to persuade anyone of anything, because what you believe is what you believe. But at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. But what I do try to do is show you an alternative method. And when you see an alternative method, then you're able to make a distinction like, wow, you know what? This is different. You know what? Conservatives, Republicans aren't against us. They're actually for us. They want our community to thrive. They want us to practice our faith in peace. They want to make sure that we're not being murdered, and that, in our homeland where all of our family is in Israel, like Donald Trump, who moved the embassy to Jerusalem, which, I was a part of APIP. We had a meeting at Temple Bethel in West Palm Beach a few weeks ago, and we were celebrating on the anniversary, 1 year anniversary. And I want to commend Governor DeSantis. He just went to Israel, and I'm looking to go to Israel in the next 60 days. So I'm really looking for someone to sponsor that trip for me, because I'm a person, I don't watch a lot of things on TV. I learn from doing it. I base my life on an authentic leadership model. And what that is real things that I've been through. Everything I'm talking about tonight, I've done. It's not something that I read about or heard about. Of course, I have education to help me with theory, but I'm a man of action. I'm an application person. So with that being said, I want to go to Israel so that I can experience it, not only for my faith individually, but for how I can really advocate for the people. I think it's really important that I go. I'm really praying about this. I think it's something that's really important, because I want to come back and I want to be able to look someone in their face and say, you know what, I've been there. I saw it. I've been to the wall. I understand what you're facing, and I will fight for you. I'm a leader, and I care about you.
This is awesome. I might just be the person that you need to speak with. There is a lot to talk about, and I think, though, the tides are turning somewhat in your area, and you might see that. I knew from the very second the show started, though, when you were talking and saying, all the things that you were saying were making sense about giving back to a community, and of course the veterans, having your background, to me, is stellar. I'm not going to take up this whole entire show. It's a great show. I'm going to get in contact with you, Michael, and Rascala. I appreciate
I don't want you to hang up. Hang on, girl. We're going to take a break, and hang on through the break, and when we come back, we can continue.
And I do want to say one thing, though, real quick, if you don't mind, before the
Go
break.
ahead.
There are a couple of candidates who threw their hat in the ring. I ask the listeners to please put political pressure on these people to understand that I am the man for the job and that we don't want a primary. Lois Franco has $1 million in the bank. Let's be smart about this. Everyone who has a conscience and a mind knows that I'm the best candidate for the job. We need to get rid of these other people. They're great people, nothing against them, but they know deep in their hearts that they cannot bring this level of experience to the table that our country needs. This is critical. And Lois Franco is going to be hit with something so hard that I bring to the table that she is not going to know what hit her, but this is all for the people. I am the people and the people are with me, and we have to communicate that. People cannot be afraid. They have to stand up, and you have to put that political pressure. You can't say in 2018 that we didn't run anyone out here, but now all of a sudden we want to run 5 people out here. We can't do that.
Yeah.
That's overpopulation. Of course, it's democracy. They're more than able to do that, and I'm all for it. But if you have a clear-cut candidate, you know what I bring to the table. Why waste time?
Amen. I agree with that. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back. Oh, that was the wrong one. What happened? All right, got to get back to my board here. I had it lined up and my computer's not responding. Here we go. All right, here we go.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Being a dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise! Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but the teachers, the counselors, they help you. One of the teachers was Miss Araceli. Miss Araceli, she gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll come over and she'll sit there with you until you get it. Thank you, Miss Araceli. I know you make a difference in people's lives because of the person and teacher you are. I wanted to be here because I wanted to thank you for helping me get a beautiful gift. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work. Getting your high school diploma, it is a life-changing experience. It really is.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Have you ever heard of Audible? Audible is a website with hundreds of thousands of audiobooks. They're all high quality, easy to listen to, and, best of all, if you take advantage of a special deal that we've worked out for you, you can get one for free. That's right, a free audiobook of your choice in any genre, simply by going to audibletrial.com/openeyes and signing up for the free trial. It's simple to do, and it would support the shows that we bring to you, and hey, you get a free book out of the whole thing. So why not take advantage of it today? Go to audibletrial.com/openeyes and sign up for the trial.
Ask 10 different scientists about the environment, population control, genetics, and you'll get 10 different answers. But there's one thing every scientist on the planet agrees on. Whether it happens in 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years, eventually our sun will grow cold and go out. When that happens, it won't just take us. It'll take Marilyn Monroe, and Lao Tzu, and Einstein, and Morobuto, and Buddy Holly, and Aristophanes. All of this was for nothing. Unless we go to the stars.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
While other stations just talk a good game, we win it.
Hey, sounds like somebody's having a lot of fun.
This phony witch hunt that we all went through together is a disgrace. Now they're all blaming each other, do you see? They're all turning on each other. Isn't that pretty to watch? It's his fault. No, it's his fault. Nah, we caught them. They were spying. They were spying on our campaign. I'll tell you what, if that ever happened to the other side, this thing would have been over 2 years ago. And you know, it would have been treason. They would have called it treason. And that's what it is. It was treason. And it should never be allowed to happen to another president again. Ever, ever, ever. I said, you know, let's get back on. Let's not think about the past. Let's think about the future. But now I think thinking about the past is just okay, because we can never let this happen again in our country or to another president. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking into the future. We can never allow this these treasonous acts to happen to another president. This was an attempted takeover of our government, of our country, an illegal takeover. And if it were the other way around, where I was doing it to President Obama or a Democrat, it would be virtually the maximum sentence that you can find no matter where you look in whatever legal book.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Goes, 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 goes.
Now, from sunny South Florida, it's the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala. Every Saturday night from 9 p.m. to midnight on the L&M Network. And now, your host, Riscala.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. An honor and a privilege to have you with us tonight and listen into the show. A very vital part of our country is our ability as responsible citizens to hopefully put people in places of our government that are going to be representatives of us. Our government was basically put together as a government for the people, by the people. The meaning behind that is that the people that go up there and represent us, the entire intention of them being there are our voices, if you will, in that component of our government. And if you look at what's happened to us in my gosh, how many decades this has been going on, you can just see that it's getting worse. And if we don't do something about it now, we will continue to suffer, and it will only get worse. It's only gotten worse. If you look at go back 20 years ago and see what it was like then, and then take a look at it today. We have people openly stating it's okay to overthrow our government. Openly. And these are people that are representatives within our government. Now, some people think, well, it's no big deal. They were mad, blah, blah, blah. No. You have to accept responsibility for that thing in your mouth called a tongue. for the words that come out, especially if you're somebody who is in our government. We have Congress people who openly speak against our way of life, the American way of life. They openly speak about how they're here not to assimilate. They're here to dominate. What is wrong with us? How could we possibly ever justify someone like that within the realms of a place that is supposed to be the administration of the country in which we live? It's unacceptable. And the way that we're going to begin resolving this problem, it's not something that is cut and dry. But it is something that can be cut at, little bits and pieces at a time, because this is exactly how they've gotten to where they are. They didn't jump into this. They did a little here, they did a little there, they did a little here, and before you know it, here we're looking at people within our government that are literally cursing our government, cursing our president. No respect for the office of the presidency. No respect for a man who was working for free, my God. But yet they will be the first to spit in your face if you say you are an American, you are proud to be an American, you like the American flag. They don't like our flag. They've openly stated they won't wear lapel pins that demonstrate our flag, the red, white, and blue. Unacceptable. And the way to stop it is to find people like Michael Bloomberg Jr., who has served his country, who knows what it's like to be in war, and can be in a position where he can use that experience when having confronted the decision to be made. He can use the experiences that he's had to better the lives of others. And that's, one of the things he said. He didn't have the best of times growing up. He could claim, like so many others have claimed, I'm just going to do drugs. When my dad did drugs, I'm just do drugs. My life is worthless, blah, 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 and just waste his life away and be nothing but a burden to society, instead of putting his foot down on that base and saying, I'm ready. I got the bat and I'm swinging. Throw me the ball. I'm ready to go. And hitting a home run. And allowing that home run to benefit you and me. That's what it's about for me. It's about supporting people who support people who support people. Where everybody benefits, it's kind of a selfish thing if you think about it, because I'm part of everybody. But when everybody benefits, those are the kind of programs that I like. Those are the kind of programs I support. And people who are in support of those kind of programs are the kind of people I will support. And Michael clearly is a person along those lines. Welcome back, Michael. Thank you. And Angel, thank you for hanging on.
You're welcome. I wanted to say Michael made such a great point at the very beginning, even before I was on. No solutions, no salary.
I like that.
That's what he said. He said if they were going to not get anything done, which is their job, representing us, there's no salary. Michael, you said something in that line.
Yeah, that's what he said. But if we can't balance the budget, then we shouldn't be paid. I agree.
I do too. And that's one of his focuses, is to get a budget with a balance to it.
Amen. Go ahead, Michael.
No, I mean, this is the thing. There's two things that I want to do when it comes to Washington. I've done a lot of work in Washington and Virginia, by the way. I ran the veteran program for the state of Virginia, helped stimulate the economy and create over 30,000 jobs as part of the governor's initiative for our veterans.
Thank you.
Yes, I was part of that initiative. I was a state employee for the state of Virginia, but it was under the Governor McAuliffe's initiative. But one of the things under that program that I realized that we can do things a lot better. This is actually what led me to wanting to run for Congress. I moved back down here for the second time at the end of 2017 when I realized that the landscape up in Virginia, the politics is a very interesting thing, because you have deeply rooted people that want to accomplish a certain goal, and then you have the views of the people. And somehow that line doesn't cross in a perfect access. So then you have curves and you have areas of opportunities, let's put it that way. And so one thing that I don't agree with, whether you're a liberal or a Democrat, whatever you describe yourself as, your belief system, which I respect. I respect how people feel. But in the reality of things, transparency is critical. And that's something that I think that we can do better as a society. That's why I love this country. I love being a conservative. I love being a patriot. But I think that's, if you were to ask me, Michael, what's the difference between a Democrat and a Republican? I would say transparency. I believe conservatives and Republicans live mostly within, various 80-20 rule, within the certain parameters. We live in the facts. We try to present the best facts. We try to, love our country. We try to be a country that, promotes the Constitution. I believe that Democrats aren't very truthful sometimes. They can, be very opinionated. The thing about me is, I'll challenge, I'll have a debate with anybody, anytime, any place, kind of like a street fight, but in a legal way. You take out the anger and just sit down and talk about the issues. If you make a good point, I'll say point taken. I'll give you the point. But at the end of the day, you got to have the dialogue. And when you aren't willing to have the dialogue and you just focus on your issues and that's all that matters, that's not patriotic. That's not being American. And so, like you said, when you see people not wearing the American flag on their lapel, we have a problem.
Yeah. That's
not a problem just against American people. That's a problem as a leadership in this country. You can't allow that. It's treason. Honestly, you got to. When I couldn't go into the military unless I raised my right hand and pledged allegiance to the flag. If you serve in any legislative body, if you're not willing to raise your right hand and pledge allegiance to America, I'm going to work. There's 3 things I'm going to do in Washington, D.C. to get back to your question, Angel. The first thing I'm going to do is if we can't balance the budget, I'm going to fight that nobody gets paid until we get the budget done, because that's an absolute disgrace to our citizens of this country. The second thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that we end child sex trafficking in this country and also get our immigration deal done. I'm hoping, as the president has openly announced, he says within 15 minutes, Congress can have a bill in place and the immigration issue would be solved. The wall would be built and we'd be able to go about our lives and we'd be able to have a process where people are allowed to come to this country legally, which I support. Okay. The third thing that I want to do is if you have a legislator who's serving in our body of Congress and they are 100% against our nation, they're actively putting out propaganda and information against us, I am going to fight so that they are removed, because I don't believe that anyone should be in a position of authority in this country, the United States of America, the greatest land on this planet, to have that kind of authority and undermining democracy. That is a problem, and I am going to fight against it. And I'm going to have a fight right now in my hands. I know the principles that I stand on. I'm not going to win a lot of votes. But the people, luckily the people, are going to love me, because I was told a month ago, I was speaking at an event in Boca Raton, and a gentleman who came up to me has actually started an initiative that was actually signed by Vice President Mike Pence and a lot of other leaders. It's no regulation without representation, which I support. I support him in that endeavor, because this is what it comes down to. If you want to make a constitutional change, you need to have a representation. You can't just go in there and just make a change. The people can't just go in and make a change. It has to be something that's consolidated, collective effort. Okay, but he came up to me after the event and he said, "You're going to change the world." I said, okay. I knew that since I was a child. I've always had that on my heart, with the circumstances that I've been under. But he said, "You're going to change the world." He said, "The reason why is this. People are going to come out that don't normally come out because of your heart." I put my heart into this world, and I'm a fighter, and God made me so strong. I'm unbreakable. When your father tries to kill you as a 5-year-old on May 28th, 1984, it's actually documented in the newspaper. It was reported on TV. The stories are out there. I have copies of it. Anybody can Google it. My whole life is open, But at the end of the day, when you go through that experience, you're unbreakable. Like, no one can break me. So I'm going to have a lot of people that are against me. People aren't going to want to see me in office because they're comfortable. But guess what? This is the American people, the American way. We're fighting for our freedom. We are fighting for future generations, not just today, but for tomorrow. And if we don't have leaders who are willing to fight for our country, I don't know what we stand for.
We're down the tubes. We can't get people.
It is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Miss Caroline.
I was just going to say, if our representatives, the very people who we rely on to be our voice, if we can't rely on them, we're down the tubes as a country. We might as well be socialists. We might as well be communists, because that's how all that stuff is done. You have no say-so. You do as the kings and the queens tell you to do up there in our government land, our dictatorship land, because that's basically what it would boil down to, is just a massive dictatorship of people telling us what to do. They don't have to do what they tell us to do. It's one of those, you do what I tell you, you don't do what I do, but you do what I tell you to do kind of thing. That's where we're headed unless we stop it. Because we're already, part of us is already there, believe it or not. This is already happening. This is why I'm so concerned about this. It's already happening, and we need to stop it. They've already crossed the line in my book, and it's not acceptable. And we need people like this. We need people who are willing to get red-faced, if you will, but still be, what's the word I'm looking for? Thick-skinned enough, because you really do have to have a thick skin. They will lash out. Look at how they've lashed out at Donald Trump. So don't think that they won't lash out at someone else who represents many of the same things that Donald Trump represents. How many people have you seen that have anything to do with Donald Trump? They have raked him over the coals. So we'll need somebody who can take that and say, you know what? You spit in my face, that's all right. I'm still fighting. I'm still swinging. I'm still at the base and the bat's still in my hand. Throw me the ball. That's what we need. Go ahead, Angel.
And and that you're saying exactly what Michael's entire life has been. Steady, withstood childhood atrocities, basically, and then succeeded in adulthood, became a soldier and a decorated one. If that doesn't tell you the story of somebody that's willing to take adversity and rise above it, and then want to pay back people instead of being angry, I don't confuse passion with anger. It makes me almost want to cry, because I like an underdog that comes out swinging. And the story you just told is very touching, Michael. It just is, for me.
I agree. Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Well, thank you. I just love the people, honestly. Like I said, when you go through tough experiences, everybody does. Everybody has a story. That's the thing about being an American. We all have a story. Life's unpredictable. No one's perfect. I never did a drug in my life. People ask why. Well, you know what? I saw how it destroyed my family. I want to make my parents proud as a kid. My first thought when I was 7 or 8 is I wanted to have an abuse shelter in the community for abused women and children, so they didn't have to go to abuse. And then over the years, all the experience I've had, it's grown and grown and grown. I could have never imagined that I was going to run for U.S. Congress. But God knew this for me. God was building me for this. At the end of the day, people can throw darts, or they can try to, pick you apart. And, at the end of the day, being in Congress isn't a popularity contest. I want people to like me. I think I'm very likable. I have a lot of friends. The people that like me, they would pick me up at 2:00 in the morning and make sure that I'm safe. And I would do that for them. I think that's what you want to be known for. Somebody that loves you and cares about you. If you have a need and I'm in your district, I'm your congressman, that when you pick up the phone, that the message will get to me, and I'm going to try to work for your family. That's all you can ask of somebody. Whether you like me or not is irrelevant. But when you have a need in your family and you have a congressman who's willing to do for you, I think that's worth gold.
That speaks volumes.
It does. There's nothing anybody can add to that. I'm out, because I want to listen to this show and not just jabber, because it's one of the most interesting ones. I'm saying, Michael, I'm going to be in contact with you, especially about an Israeli trip and also for other things. So I've enjoyed everything, and I will be listening.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And hopefully other callers will call in. I like the interaction. People need to understand that I'm accessible, that I'm for them, I care about them, and that their needs matter. A lot of times people just, you get so caught up in your own personal life. Most people, they're just trying to deal with the hierarchy of their own needs. They want to make sure food's on the table. They want to make sure their mortgage is paid. They want to make sure their kids are safe at schools. They want to make sure there's affordable health care. These are just basic needs. People aren't asking for you to shoot them up to the moon. They want to just make sure that they can have a quality life and live the American dream. We have South Florida has amazing beaches. We have such a great infrastructure down here. It's so beautiful. I love Palm Beach County. I've traveled all over the world in my life. I've been really fortunate and blessed. And I love Palm Beach County. I'm here for a reason. I'm here for the people. But let's have the people take their family to the beach and enjoy it. Let them go to, the lake for the weekend. Let them have a good time. Let them put some money away so they can travel up to Washington, D.C. And if they had somebody that served, they can go to Arlington Cemetery and they can see, the Tomb of the Unknown. And they can see these things about our country. The Lincoln the Monument, the Washington Monument, all these landmarks. Let them see history. Some people they're living paycheck to paycheck. They don't even get a chance to enjoy that or have an opportunity to go see what this country actually means. So,
before they tear every statue down, if the left has anything to say about it, we won't have any statues for anybody to visit. So we got to get things done quickly, and I'm serious.
Amen. I agree 100%. That's why it says in the Constitution, we the people for the people.
Yep. Okay, great show. I'll be listening.
All right, Angel. Thank you, Angel. Love you, girl.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Now, if you have a question or a comment, you can call in. The lines are open. The phone number is 561-440-5174. That's 561-440-5174. If you have a question or comment for Michael, you can do that. If you have a comment in the chat room, we do have the chat rooms open as well. You can find the chat room. It's free. There's no cost for the chat room. If you go to www.latenightinthemidlands.com, you will see a place there where it says chat and listen. And you can click on that and you get into the chat room and get involved in the conversation in the chat room as well. So anyway, I always look forward to having Angel on, Michael. Angel is someone who has a vast background of, oh my gosh, all kinds of things. She's a biblical scholar. So she's had quite a bit of education, and she knows, with regard to Hebrew, I believe she understands how to read the Hebrew text as well as some of the ancient texts. So it's a very interesting young lady, and with a broad array of knowledge. So if she contacts you, you'll see what I'm talking about. There won't be any question about it. Let me ask you, I kind of asked before about what does Congress do? Here in Florida, we're on a peninsula. We're surrounded by, three sides of the state are surrounded by water. And one of the things that we're encountering here in Florida is a quality of water issue. Can Congress help with that? Is that something that Congress can step in and help with?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You have the Corps of Engineers. I know that Representative Brian Mast up in his district, he's also a veteran. He's working closely on that. I know Governor DeSantis is also working on the Everglades. Mm-hmm. It's an important aspect of our quality of life down here in South Florida, the preservation of our waterways. And those are areas that I want to get involved with as well. I want to make sure that Palm Beach County actually gets to enjoy what we have here. It's an actual gem in Palm Beach County. I was just talking to someone earlier today. I've spent a lot of time from Jupiter Island all the way down to Key West, and Broward and Miami-Dade are completely different than Palm Beach County.
Oh, yeah.
Palm Beach County is very distinct. It has like this just great, I don't even know how to describe it. It's such a blissful place to be. It really is. And like when you're driving down the A1A, I mean, you just have these unbelievable areas like Monapolin and, Delray and
mm-hmm.
just, all these, amazing places with these amazing beaches. And I want to make sure those beaches are preserved. We want to make sure that the waterways are clear, that they're connected. I think that's important to understand, as someone that, like, for example, the Green New Deal, these people sometimes, it's important to take care of your environment, but I'm a person of moderation. Let's put it that way. In life, it's always good to have moderation. You never want to overuse or overconsume something. If you get too far left or too far right, you just have to stand on the basic principles. And when it comes to the environment, we have to be good stewards of the planet, but it's like, some of these things are just in theory. We have no isn't like there's a crystal ball and we know that, in X amount of years this is going to happen. You try to say like, the waterways are melting and we're having, hotter summers and cold, less colder. These things about global warming, all these different things, these things have been debunked and they've been looked at, but at the end of the day, you still have to take care of your homeland. You have to take care of your shores. You have to take care of the waterways. So I would definitely want to work with Governor DeSantis on his initiative for the state in trying to preserve our Everglades and the waterways.
I think what I'm trying to get down to is, as a congressperson, I'm trying to be politically correct. As someone who is in Congress, how much influence do you have over, like, the governor, or does the governor have influence over the? Again, I'm ignorant in this aspect, so this is why I'm asking. I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just trying to learn. How much influence does one have with the other or over the other?
Well, what it comes down to is appropriations of funds. Mm-hmm. Congress is going to appropriate funds, okay, and then we have bills where we know we're going to designate where the funds are going to go. So when you get with the community leaders and the government, like the Corps of Engineers, that's a big part of it down here in South Florida, the Corps of Engineers, because they have to approve any changes to our waterway. Mm-hmm. If they don't approve a change, or this takes community involvement and serious leadership at local levels, county levels, and state levels to be able to enact something like that. So it's really, kind of getting your hands dirty, so to speak, and working in the communities, and then coming up, with a plan of action, and then you bring that back up to Congress, and you want to get, a budget for that, as far as, because other states are dealing with similar things. So my job would be to get monies down here in South Florida to preserve our waterways, or, red tide, other things that we're dealing with. Right. I'm going to be working. And that's why they have lobbyist groups up in Washington as well, because people are trying to get those appropriations of funds. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you a question with regard to financial backing. Is there anybody in big pharma or anybody in big energy or any of the big corporations backing you that you might be responsible to as once you're up in there in your position? Well, this is the thing. I want to do what's best for the people. I always listen to the community-based organizations, the companies, the businesses, and to see where we have opportunities. I'm not going to be bought if, specifically like, hey, like quid pro quo, basically. I don't view myself as that kind of professional. But I do want to listen to the business leaders that are in the area and look at areas of opportunity and understand how we can be better. I mean, at the end of the day, you can say, okay, do we need to keep it the same or do we make a change? And so I'm willing to listen to those large organizations that do have some buying power, so to speak, where they can bring some elements to the table to be able to make a difference in the community. Because really, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. The businesses have to come together to be able to drive the change. And once they're fundamentally aware of their responsibilities and they want to be a good steward of the planet, they want to be a good steward of Palm Beach County, then I can help take that back to Congress and get something done. So I really, what I'm alluding to, Michael, is when it comes to having to make a decision, I didn't want to back you in the corner. I don't mean to do that, honestly. But when it comes down to having to make a decision whether it's going to be someone who has backed you with a lot of financial power versus what is right for the people, I believe that you would be the man who would pick that's what's right for the people. And that's really what I'm trying to get down to. Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing. Everybody has an interest because business is business. I was a business owner, right? I published 3 books. When you go to publish a book, you have to edit. You need content, you need marketing, you need PR. These are all funds that are externally pushed out. So when you're delivering a service or a product, there's a financial component to it, of course. And with that being said, you have to look at what's the best for the people. So I'm not going to be afraid to say to someone, this isn't in the best interest of the people. Give me something different. Give me something that we can work with. Because businesses, without growth of our economy, we're not going to be able to thrive. We're going to have other companies, other countries in the world that are surpassing us. So it's really important that we listen to our community business leaders, but we're also not taken advantage of. It's kind of that, it's the public government partnership, public-private partnership that kind of drives the economy.
And that's basic. I didn't want to drive you in the corner, but I believe that's the kind of person you will be. Somebody backs you, that's all fair and square. But if they try to take advantage of you, and with regard to what's best for the rest of us, all of us, that you would stand for all of us.
This is what I'll say point blank. If it's not for the betterment of the people, why do it? And for example, right now, this is a great example. We have people in Congress right now. They're not doing much. Lois Frankel, other people, they're talking a lot. They're not doing a lot, not taking a lot of actions, not worried about their constituents. Like in this district, it's D+9, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
So, she has a stronghold. But the end of the day, you need a leader to stand up, because if not, why even be in Congress? If you're not going to do something for the people, why even be in the position? I mean, this is a huge responsibility. It's not something I take lightly, but also I have to have number one responsibility for people, and not to be bought, not to be, taken advantage of, and not to have a special interest. I look, it's important, you have to be able to negotiate. You have to be a chief negotiator. And that's a skill that I have. You have to have poise and leadership. Those are skills that I have. You have to be able to work with people and work as a member of a team. We have an agenda that the president wants to get enacted. We want, to get things accomplished. And in 2020 to 2024, that's the time period that we can make advancements to draw down our national debt, improve our health care, improve our immigration, improve the communities we live in, protect our environment down here in South Florida, make changes that are representation of the people and what they need and want, and also create religious freedoms that do not persecute innocent Americans.
Now, one of the things that happens as someone who's a representative of our state, with regard to, I understand that you're going to be a key role, I guess is the best way to describe it, with releasing of funds to us for a variety of things. And one of those things, again, we briefly spoke about, was the educational part. The current administration has removed a lot of the funding from the educational process. I, believe it or not, I'm kind of in support of that, because I don't want the federal government involved in our education process. I'd rather have the state itself, and maybe even the local, at the local level, more local, like maybe a county, be involved in what the curriculum is going to be, versus something like like a cookie cutter. Does that make sense? So would you be in support of that kind of thing?
Well, I think parents for our children, it starts with the youth. Early education and education for our youth is critical. We need more school options, charter schools for our parents of the community. For single family homes and dual family homes, we need to have more options for our children in schools. And then we need accountability at the local level. And that has to do with the relationship between education and employment. You cannot, again, I can't say this, more clearly, you can't have education reform without having jobs on the back end that support the education reform that you're going to enact. So that's what I think it's important. Like one of the things I want to do, another thing is I want to bring a lot of information technology jobs down here to South Florida. We don't have a lot. That's a way that we can boost the economy. We can drive change. We can help our educational system by creating new programs, new curriculums that allow people to thrive, and they can live and stay right here in South Florida.
The information technology industry, there's not a lot of it here in South Florida, and as a result, there's not a lot of work for the IT individuals, because this is something that's very related to what I do full time. I'm an on-site technician for printers and faxes and copiers, so I have to know about computers and things of that nature. I'll get a call and they'll tell me that our printer is no longer working. I have to go in and make sure it's not a problem between the communication between the two. Anyway, so I've seen how that the dwindling of the industry here in South Florida has been occurring, particularly probably in the last 5 or 6 years. I've seen like a very gradual decline. So that would be something that would be of great benefit to us here, to be able to bring that kind of technology down here, that kind of availability for people to go to, because there's people here that could really use the work. What happens in a particular industry, you're probably very well aware, if the demand falls below the supply, in other words, if we've got a lot more technicians than we have the demand for those technicians, the cost of whatever the service is typically begins to drop. And then it becomes very difficult for them to earn a living wage because they have this overhead, but yet what they're being paid is actually less and less and less. So as we bring in more demand, then the cost of whatever the repairs are will go back up proportionately so they can make a living wage. So that's very interesting. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, we have to boost the economy. I'm going to exhaust every means to make Palm Beach County, Florida, great again. I mean, I support our president. I support our governor. I support our local leaders, and we're going to drive change. Community-based organizations are a major component of that. We have to do the analysis. We have to understand, where are our areas of opportunity. I kind of operate under the SWOT system. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's business 101, but, it may sound like, oh, that's simple. But actually, when you simplify things, that's when you can accomplish the most, I believe.
I agree.
We have to understand, okay, what are the strengths of Palm Beach County? I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure we're the best county in the state. I want Palm Beach County to thrive. I want us to be robust. I want us to have business. I want us to be prosperous. I want people to bring their families here. I want them to be happy. I want them to have a quality education. I want to support the community in every opportunity that I can. Okay. I also want to know where our weaknesses are. We have to know, quite frankly, areas of opportunity in District 21 as a congressman here and a future senator. That I'd love to be a senator one day for this great state of Florida. I love the state of Florida. I want to be a senator. That's one of the goals I have. A lot of people, think highly of what I bring to the table, but that's definitely a goal I have for myself. But I want to understand, where are opportunities that we can do better? And then, you have to understand also the opportunities we have and then threats. You have to understand, what threats do we have? Or what hurricanes, are we prepared for national disaster? If we have a hurricane category 5 that hits right here in Palm Beach County, are we prepared? How are we going to be able to respond? How are we going to deal with quality of life? How are we going to protect life? How are we going to be able to respond? How are we going to have enough infrastructure to support the fire, the police, the first responders? How are we going to be able to notify the public in time? How can we be good stewards of our communities in a national crisis? So we have to plan. We have to be ready. But, I think if you plan, that we can be proactive versus being reactive. I think when you're reactive, that you're missing.
Yeah.
You're completely missing the opportunity to really thrive.
I agree.
But when you are proactive, which is the person, the leader that I am, I believe in getting out in front of the wave. I actually, this is how I kind of categorize it. I'm not the wave, I'm the wave machine. So when you're the wave machine, you know exactly what's going to be happening and when, because you're forecasting, you're leveraging the assets you have in the community. And again, we want to make Palm Beach County the best county in the state. That's my number one goal. And my second goal is to protect the quality of life of all Americans in line with our Constitution.
I think somebody with the experience that you have, also, you brought up something very vital to our area and something we've experienced, unfortunately, more than our share of, and that's hurricanes. We've had 2 of them hit one within 2 weeks of each other, and the eye of those hurricanes hit within a mile of each other. So it was it's like falling down, getting scraped up, and then somebody coming along and pushing you down and getting you scraped up again. It was really, really a bad way. And so part of the experience that you have is something that I see is that a swift decision to be made rather than a dragging of the feet, because what's happened in the past is, and still going on here in Florida, up in the Panhandle, they're still hurting up there from hurricane, of all things, Hurricane Michael. So they're still hurting up there because nobody can make a firm decision to step in and help them on a large scale. I was somebody who happened to live in South Florida, down in Miami, in Dade County, when Hurricane Andrew came through we had a whole neighborhood destroyed. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. I happened to be out of town when it happened. And I watched it on TV. And let me tell you, when you see it on TV and when you see it in real life, it's two different things. And when it happens to you and when you realize that in one day you become homeless, you have nowhere to go, it was a rough deal. And it took us a long time, I would say probably a year before things got anywhere back close to normal. There were areas where we didn't have telephone systems for like 6 months. Cable, you couldn't get any info on the cable for like 3 or 4 months. And it was all because of people not being able to make swift decisions and say, get in here and do it and get it done. And I think with a man like you who has the experience that you have in the background would say, let's get in here and get it done. Let's not drag our feet. This is something that needs to be done now. So again, this is why something I would support you and I will support you in this campaign, and I believe you would make an excellent congressman, and I do believe that you would represent us, regardless of who's going to back you. I believe you're going to back the people, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's my honor. I just try to stay humble. I learned on the way to the top, it's easy to come down, and when you're at the bottom, you have to work twice as hard to get to the top.
That's a good way to look at it. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah,
exactly. I understand the American people. I really do. I've gone through the struggles. I'm not on some high pedestal. I'm a person with a vision and love for my country, a love for the people, and I just want to make a difference. I want to fight for what's important because not everybody has the same calling in life. Not everyone has the same opportunities. There's a lot of people who are struggling with homelessness, opioid addiction, suicide. Our veterans are just, they're hurting. We gotta love. I think that's my biggest asset of anything. The greatest gift that God has bestowed upon me is my heart. I love the people. I'm not perfect. People can try to pull up anything or say anything bad about you or say, well, he didn't give me, he didn't shake my hand when he walked in the room. It's just like absolute ridiculous things that have no merit, but I try to take the time out for everyone that I can.
You seem like that kind of person, Michael, and I would gather from your experience and your background and basically a testimony of what you've given tonight that you will be somebody that we'll be proud of, and we'll make you proud as well by putting you up there. And let's continue with a positive change. This country has gone through a dramatic change in the last couple of years. And that dramatic change has been a positive change. We're weeding out. It's taking a long time, but we're weeding out people that are, my microphone breaking up on me. We're weeding out people who have been unproductive, basically. I mean, if you're an employer, or even if you're an employee, how long do you think your employer would allow you to work if you showed up 2/3 of the time? You're supposed to be there 5 days a week. You show up 2 times one week, 3 times the next week. How long do you think you're going to hold your job? Well, now you'll end up holding your job forever and ever and ever because the position that you're in, for several reasons, you continue to stay in that position. People are ignorant about what you're doing. People simply don't get involved with what is necessary to change that problem. But in the working man's life, people who have to work, really, really get out there and work for a living, if you were to show up for work 2/3 of the time, I don't think you would hold a job very long. And that's the way it should be with our representatives. I don't think we're asking too much. We're expecting too far from them. Is to do what we expect them to do. Do what you're supposed to do, not 2/3 of the time, but all of the time. And this is, again, a reason why we need people like Michael up there. Somebody who's going to be responsible. Somebody who'll hold those who haven't been responsible, hold their feet to the fire. And be accountable. One of the things that you said was that triggered my interest was accessible. Somebody who's going to tell you they're accessible. You get a word out, they'll get the word. Something we don't have anymore. It just doesn't exist. It does for some people. That may not be an accurate statement. If you're in the right realm, if you're in the right circles of people, you get a message out, it'll get to our representative. But what about everyday people? What about the people who really are working day in and day out and paying their taxes, which support all of this? What about them? If they're not able to reach their representatives in the same manner that these other people in certain rings of influence can, then what value is our country? Michael's saying that you can reach him very easily and very quickly, that the position that he's going into isn't going to make him someone that is so proud that he'll turn his back on you. So that's the kind of people I'm looking for. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that you would agree with me and you would help put this man where we belong. And where he belongs is as a congressman to support us so that we can start this change that or not start, that's not true, continue this change that we're going through. And it is a positive change. I want to emphasize we are going through, when a pregnant lady gives birth, it is extremely painful for her. We're going through a similar situation where we're going through a positive change, and it is very painful for this country right now. And we need to look at various ways that we can reduce, in whatever way we can reduce that pain. And one of the greatest pains I believe this country is suffering right now is that people believe that the government has turned its back on them because the representatives that are up there are simply not representing us. In your face, kind of. Some of them right in your face. So when we have someone who is standing at the base with a bat in his hand waiting for the ball to be thrown and saying, I'm ready, and I will hit, and it will be a home run, then why wouldn't you help support that man? Why wouldn't you help support an individual who has openly stated, when I get up there, I don't forget where I came from. I'm not going to turn my back on you. It doesn't matter who has helped me get here with regard to financially. It's going to matter what's going to benefit everybody as a whole. Those are the kind of people that we need, because right now we have people who just turn their back on us once they're up there and benefit whatever is best for the small group of people or the small group of influential people, I should say, that get them up there. We got to do away with this. This has to come to an end. This is really not acceptable. And this is our opportunity for us to do something about it. Let's get Michael Bluemling Jr. up there in Congress. Let's make a change, a positive change. Anybody can make a change. Let's make a positive change. The last guy who was a president promised change. He said, we are going to have a change. By golly, he brought a change. I don't think the majority of the people of this country were happy with it. And I think the reflection of that is the overwhelming amount of people that came out and voted for Donald Trump back in 2016. Well, we should have the same kind of response for someone like Michael Bloomberg Jr. Here is a man who is going to follow a parallel path. He is representing the people and not just a small group of influentials that could help him get up there. I support you, Michael. I'll do what I can. Any parting words? I've got maybe another 15 or 20 minutes. Any parting words for you?
Well, the main thing is I want to let people know, vote red, white, and Bluemling in 2020. Let's win back the House. We're going to make Palm Beach County, Florida great again. But I need all your support. We got to do it together. It's not just about me. It might be my name on the back of the jersey, but at the end of the day, I'm representing all of the American people in the county. So I just pray that everyone understands the importance of what's happening, and we can join together as a community, and we can make the changes that are required. And I think with that being said, that we're going to be able to have a great ending. So I'm really looking forward to getting to work and rolling up my sleeves as soon as I get to Washington. I'm a very positive person, and I have a great feeling within me that we're going to win.
And I truly appreciate people like you. Before we go, if somebody wants to donate to you, I'm sure you have a website, right?
Yeah, my congressional website is www.bloomlingforcongress, spelled out FOR, for Congress.com. You can also write a check out to Michael Bluemling for Congress, and all that information's on the website. So it's a 2,800, because right now there's a couple other candidates. So we have a scheduled primary, but, hopefully they'll be able to, hopefully if the right things happen, then there won't be a primary. And then we can focus solely on Lois Frankel in 2020.
All right. And let's see, there was one more thing. My mind just went blank. There was one more thing I was going to ask you before I let you go. Any events that you have planned coming up where people might be able to meet with you?
Yes, absolutely. Next Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. at Oli's Fashion Cuisine in Wellington. I have a fundraiser. I would love people to come out, support, say hello. I'd love to shake your hand, meet your family, get some photos together, and continue the mission. We have a lot of costs associated with the campaign. So it's at 5 to 7 p.m. again at Oli's Fashion Cuisine in Wellington. It's not far from the mall in one of the plazas. So I'd love to have your support. And we also got the end of the month reporting coming up. So, it's always good to show that we're able to raise funds. And that's really what it comes down to. You got to have the money in the bank to be able to, again, Lois Frankel has $1 million in the bank, and we need to be able to help with that. And that's on June 28th, again, 5 to 7 p.m. at Oli's Fashion Cuisine. And the information will be on the website next week.
I have said many times, it really is sad in a way that we have to raise so much money that people running for them, because there are people who are extremely well qualified, but unfortunately they're not able to utilize that qualification to the best of our benefits because of this money thing. They're constantly pressured to have to raise money. Money, but unfortunately that is the reality of what we're dealing with. You don't go out and cross a busy highway without looking both ways first. Not unless you want to live. Well, it's kind of the same thing. In politics, you can't get involved unless you're looking for people to help you financially get up there, and you've got to have a degree of financial resources coming in to show that you are, a viable prospect for this position. So remember, when you're going to support somebody, what are they going to do for you when they get up there? And if you vote for an incumbent, if you allow an incumbent back up in office again, they haven't supported us. So all you're doing is voting for someone who doesn't support us. That just is not logical. It doesn't make sense. Everybody that I have spoken to says we are in desperate need of a change. Well, here is someone who's offering a positive change. I want to emphasize again, we can make changes. We were promised changes by the last administration. By golly, they almost brought us to our knees. Those are not the kind of changes that we need. We need positive. Look at the division in our country today. That didn't just happen. That was all devised upon an 8-year scandal. The entire administration was a scandal from the beginning to the end. For 8 years, we dealt with people who were less than honorable at the very top of the country. So what do you think happens when the very top leadership of our country is less than honorable? You don't think that flows down into our society? And look at what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with the greatest division I have seen in my adult life ever. I go back to the 60s, where we had racial riots down in Coral Gables, Florida. I see it worse today than it was back then. And it took us a long time to build respect between each other, and such a short amount of time to tear it down. And why? Because we had people up there that were less than honorable, people that did not respond to the people who put them up there. They didn't respect the oath that they have taken to protect our Constitution. They didn't respect their constituents. They respected whoever had the most money. We've got to make this change, people. This is a man who can help us make this change. This is a man who will represent us as we slowly get back what we need in this country. Representation for the people, by the people, not representation for the corporations, by the corporations, because that's what we've been dealing with. And this is the result of it today, what you're seeing today. Homeless people, literally, I've been down, I do work for the city of West Palm Beach as an independent contractor. I've been down there, I've seen it. It really is heartbreaking. It's wrenching. There's a couple of people, they have a shopping cart, and it just, what appears to be just junk, old clothes and stuff. And that's all they have. That's their whole world. And they're there amongst people who earn, my gosh, who knows how much money, and yet seemingly nobody seems to care about it. This is something that is a direct influence upon our society. It just talks about how is our society able to do this, look at this, and not do anything. And when we would talk about the veterans, those of you who have listened to me know I get very emotional about the veterans, because I know that there are people who have put their lives on the line for this country. and they've gone out and seen and done and witnessed things that they have a hard time dealing with when they get back here. And it seemingly is that the government has said, you know what, too bad. Go fetch for yourself, until just recently. And it's people like Michael who help make that difference for people like have experienced things like that. Because it's tough sometimes. I won't even go into that, but it's tough sometimes. Michael knows what I'm talking about. You have your ups and downs. When you have people fighting for you, people that you know are going to be on your back, watching your back for you, that's the kind of representation I'm looking for. Those are the kind of people I want to put up there in our government. Because honestly, it's very logical. Is your life any better today than it was 2 years ago? And if it is, you can actually document that it is a direct result of people like Donald Trump and people that follow the path of Donald Trump to get us where we are today. We are so far and beyond where we were just 2.5 years ago with respect to our country around the planet. We have more respect now than we've ever had before. Other countries and people in other countries know, you better not mess with us. You'll be making a big mistake, like he said. You mess with us. We are financially more powerful than we were 2.5 years ago. I can't tell you by how much. It's in the tens. I know that the stock market, just as the short time that this president has been in office, has increased by the trillions. Trillions. Remember how big a trillion is. By the trillions. Our military is more powerful now than it ever has been. We now have the backbone that we need so that when we make a decision, people on the other side of the fence know, you better not wake a laying dog. Let a laying dog sleep. It's an old saying. Because if you wake him up, he won't be very happy with you. And there won't be much left of you when you're done, when he's done. So these are the kind of people that would support the kind of programs that we need as a country to continue in this gradual change that we're going through. Again, a positive change. Michael would be part of that positive change. Thank you, Michael. I greatly appreciate what you're doing, and you have all my support. I'll do whatever I can to see to it that the word gets out for you and that people will support you.
Well, I appreciate that. I just want to say God bless our president. Thank you for his leadership. I think it's fantastic, and I'm going to be his number one general in U.S. Congress, fighting to get those bills across the aisle and through the process so we can get it to the Senate and we can get it signed by our president. We got a lot of work to do. But again, I love it. I can't wait. I'm so excited because we got our country at stake. And if you can't fight for America, I don't know what you want to fight for.
And this really is a fight. I mean, I know people hear that word, but they may not really truly understand this is really a fight. We're either going to be America or we're going to be a communist country. That's what it boils down to. It's not so much about, like I said earlier, Republicans and Democrats, although it's very clear that the Democrats have a serious problem going on. But there's people who are Republicans who have issues going on as well. It's about right and wrong. It's about people who are going to make the right decision for us as a society. It's about people who are going to be held responsible to us who have put them up there. This is the kind of guy Michael is. That's why I want to support someone like Michael. This is why I want other people to step up. This is the fight. This is part of the fight, okay? When people hear fight, they may think in their mind, well, I'm not going to go punch somebody. I'm not going to pick up a firearm and go to a fight. It's not that kind of fight. There are different kinds of fights. But nevertheless, this is no different in the sense of life-threatening. This is threatening the life of our country, our society. People, hundreds of thousands of people have died for this country for the very basic freedoms that are being eroded away by irresponsible representatives. The only way we can get that back is to put people like Michael back up there again. That's the only way we're going to get it back. Thinking that Donald Trump can do it by himself is an absolute disgrace to yourself as well as Donald Trump. He has accomplished far more than anyone else can, but there are limits to what he can do. And part of that limitation is in the Congress. Let's put people in Congress that are going to work with him. Look at what's happened. How long have they been in office now? Over 100 days. And what have they done? Honestly, what have they done? Are you aware of anything that they passed, Michael?
Well, they're trying to get some things through, but they spend a lot of time, bickering and just, at odds over things. It's an absolute waste of time. Honestly, you should be working for the betterment of the American people and for our country.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm going to do. That because I'm the kind of guy. I'm an infantry guy. I was mechanized infantry. We didn't really get into what all I did. I was on a Bradley infantry fighting vehicle. So we kind of shoot, move, and communicate. So whenever when you see people like Lindsey Graham, who I highly respect, who I know has the president's ear, when you see him fighting for our country, I just get fired up. When you see people like Ben Carson, who I just heard speak last week, just an American ambassador who loves this country. I love Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, give him all the respect in the world. But when you see these people and you see people on the other side just acting so vulgar, and you hear on the news outlets how they despair our civic leaders who are actually trying to help the American people, not about party affiliation, but the American people.
The people, yeah.
It's an absolute disgrace. And so when these things happen, when I'm up there, they're going to know. Michael Bluemling Jr., he's an infantry guy. This guy doesn't play around. So I'm going to be up there. You put a microphone in my hand. We're going to be fighting back. I'm going to be holding people accountable, and I'm going to hold myself accountable. I can't hold someone else accountable if I'm not accountable as well.
I agree with that 100%. Well, thank you, Michael. God bless you, my friend. We'll do what we can to support you and keep you going. And I want to see you as the next congressperson up there so that we can finally begin having better representation here in Palm Beach County, because I don't think that we've had that at all. I don't know how long she's been up there, but it's been quite a while. She's been up there for quite a while. I remember her as a lawyer here in Palm Beach County. So she's been up there for quite some time. It's time to break this mold. This is just it's not working for America. For America, I'm not talking about the America that these people want to make it into. I'm talking about what America is intended to be. It's not working for America. That means it's not working for you and me. If it's not working for you and me, why would we want to continue going down the same path? Why would we want to continue having the same representatives? And clearly, there's no question in my mind. It's not like it's a theory on my part. You just take a look around Palm Beach County and you see who's benefiting and who's not. And clearly there's a lot of knots going on. And that's disturbing, very disturbing. Well, thank you, Michael. I'm off to a break. I wish you a great evening, my friend.
God bless you. Thank you for having me, and God bless America.
Take care.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show on the LNM Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
What's up, Ricky Dillon here at the largest social media gathering in the world. So the internet is an amazing place, but sometimes it can be a not so great place with online bullying and trolling and stuff. Have you ever seen online bullying before?
Unfortunately, it's kind of common. Online, people can hide behind the internet. Those comment sections can be a little
harsh.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good word for it.
I've been called many homophobic names.
I felt embarrassed. I felt humiliated. It made me stop liking myself.
What if I told you there is something that you can use anytime that you see bullying online that calls attention to it in a nice way? Like, hey, that's not nice.
I wish that was the thing.
It's this! So anytime that you see any kind of hate online, go into your phone, go into the symbol section, post this I, and it says that that's bullying. That's not nice. So would you post this if you saw someone bullying someone?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like a lot more mature way to handle the situation.
Find the emoji in your phone, send it to 5 of your friends, and let them know what it means to be a witness.
Go to eyewitnessbullying.org to learn more about the emoji.
Thinking of moving? Before you do anything else, call Diane Whittick of Bowen Realty. She provides a concierge service. Things like having your home or condo packed and shipped, even take care of your home repairs or upgrades. Diane has the expertise to get it done. As a seller, you will have constant contact. She will furnish you with bids on any services that might need completion: air conditioning, plumbing, handyman, and even cleaning. Living up north and have a home to sell here in South Florida? Just give her the keys, address, and a signature. Your payment will be wired when the property is sold. That's right, Diane does it all. Thinking of buying? Diane has great listening skills. Tell her what you want, give her your budget, and like a genie, she will make your real estate wish come true. There's no regrets when you choose Diane Whittick of Bowen Realty. To reach Diane, call 561-247-5478. That's 561-247-5478. Diane Whittick at Bowen Realty, located in Wellington at Wellington Trace East and Forest Hill Boulevard. 561-247-5478.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework. He hates homework. It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just
trying
gotta
as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Do you have an unusual pet? Did you know that the Rainforest Clinic in Loxahatchee specializes in exotic pets? They see pets that other vets don't. Parrots and chickens, ducks, geese, turtles, snakes, goats, pigs, lizards, and even monkeys. Are you a beekeeper? Dr. Clubb, the first of her kind in the area? Yes, she takes care of bees as well. Dr. Susan Clubb has decades of experience and known around the world for her reputation as a premier avian vet. Located at 3319 E Road in Loxahatchee, just a short distance north of Okeechobee Road, you will find a modern clinic with in-house labs, which allow you to get your test answers quickly. You can find them online at www.susanclub.com. That's www.susanclubb.com. Or you can reach her at 561-795-4878. It's Dr. Susan Clubb. That's 561-795-4878. The Rainforest Clinic located in Loxahatchee. 561-795-4878.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
You're listening to the Red Pill Reality Show with your host, Riscala, every Saturday night on the LNM Network from 9 p.m. to midnight. And now your host, Riscala.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill.
All right, we are back. It is the Red Pill Reality Show. Again, an honor and a privilege to have you with us tonight. And it certainly was a privilege to have Michael on. This is the kind of person really that we need to have that's going to represent us. If we continue down this road of allowing incumbents to retain their office, and I've said many times, I don't know how many offices are going to be available, 300 or something, 3 something or another. I don't know how many of those are going to be available, but however many of them are available, we should be involved in removing whoever those incumbents are and not putting the same old back up there again. These people are not going to be running for office for whatever reason. Let's put someone up there like a Michael Bluemling Jr., who is going to be responsible back to the people. Who's going to hold those up there responsible as well. If we really want to make a change that's going to benefit all of us, it's going to start with us, especially here at the local level. What happens on the micro scale happens on the macro scale. I had a caller just a minute ago. If you want to call back, I'll take your call. Anyway, I apologize. I didn't get to that caller real quick, but if you'll call back, I'll take your call. We are. It is vital that we understand the people that we put up there are supposed to represent us. I think that we have been taken advantage of for so long as Americans, and Americans, generally speaking, are good-hearted people. I mean, I know we have some pretty hateful people out there, but that's not a representation of the generality of our society. We're good-hearted people. This is why I believe they've been able to play on our good nature with regard to the immigration thing. Oh, well, we got to let these people, they're asylum seekers, they need help, and many of them do. I'm not questioning that. But what I am questioning are a couple of things. One, how long can we financially afford to allow this to go on? Number two, don't you think it would be responsible to know what kind of people we're letting in this country, where they're coming from, why they're coming here? Not just like a shotgun blast and allow anybody and everybody in through the border. If you were going to allow someone in your home, don't you think it would be prudent on your part, a bit of wisdom to find out what that person is about before you let them in your home? Don't you think it would only be fair to do the same thing with regard to our country? I mean, we do live here and we're allowing these people to come in. Don't you think that would be fair? Why would that be considered racist? Why would that be considered prejudiced in some way? I think it's just prudent. I think it's only right that we ask, who are you and why are you coming here? And if you are someone who has committed crimes, then we really don't need you, and we certainly don't want you. Why would we allow this to continue? I've said many times we live literally in a twilight zone. We do literally live in a twilight zone. I mean that seriously. When you have a situation where people are here, first of all, they don't belong here. They're here against breaking our law. They're here illegally. It's not a matter of being undocumented. They are here illegally. Then they commit a horrendous crime. A lot of times it's a rape or a murder. They are deported, and lo and behold, they are back again. To the tune of some of these people, one of them was 11 times. They were deported 11 times. Now, if that shouldn't really just take the spit right out of your mouth. We pay for this. You ever think about that? 11 times. Not only do we pay for the 11 times of the deportation, we pay God knows what for the court costs and the attorneys involved and maybe health care that is involved for the victims of these people. And yet you have people within our government openly stating they want more. We're reaching a level in this country where the burden, the financial burden, along with the healthcare burden and the educational burden and a bunch of others, but the financial burden in and of itself is going to cripple us. It is simply not logical to continue to tear away at a foundation and expect the building to stand. And that's what we're suffering from today. The very foundations of this country that helped build the greatest country ever known to the civilized world are being bitten at little by little by little, to the point now it won't take a whole lot more for the entire thing to fall down. When you have representatives within your government openly stating, we are not here to assimilate, we are here to dominate. They are in our government. I'm sorry, but to me that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable to me for you to take an oath on anything other than the Bible. By the way, it has now been found by a vote of 5-4 by the Supreme Court that anybody who takes an oath other than the Bible is non-eligible. So these people that have taken an oath on anything other than the Bible either have to give up their positions. I don't know how far they're going to press this, but they're either going to have to give up their positions or they're going to have to go take their oath again, this time with their hand on the Bible. The relevancy of this is the foundations of this country, whether people wish to believe it or not, whether people wish to admit it or not. The foundations of this country are based upon a Christian foundation. That's why the Bible played such a vital part about this country. And the idea that the separation of church and state, anytime something religious comes up in a political arena, is simply not accurate. The whole idea of this country came from church-abiding people. When we are looking at history literally being torn down, we talked about, Michael had mentioned how awesome it is to go see some of these monuments that we have up in Washington, some of these statues and stuff. Some of the stuff is being torn down. Why? Why would you want to tear down our history? Oh, because it offends me. Well, I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. If it offends you, that's too bad. Wear blinders. Don't look. Whatever. How can you say something that is 200 years old, that has sat in the same place for God knows how long, over a couple of decades, has sat there and people have walked, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people have walked past this thing, and now all of a sudden it's so offensive that it must be torn down. But yet we have young men walking around with their pants halfway down to their knees, with their butts showing in their underwear, and that's okay. One represents the history of our country, the blood that was shed, and which side it was shed for. The other represents perversion. And you want to support the perversion? Or do you want to support what is ethical, what is logical? And that would be to understand we have a history, and if you don't understand our history, then you are doomed to repeat our history. I've always wondered how the German people were talked into doing some of the things that they did. It didn't all of a sudden one day come as like a flashbang grenade, bam, and everybody was wanting to kill the Jews and get rid of the Jews. It didn't happen like that. It happened little bits and pieces. It happened by people within their representation who turned their back on the people themselves. It happened little bites here and little bites there, so that by the time a progression had evolved, it was no longer little bites, but it had accumulated to a huge chunk. And the very thoughts, the very mentality of the people had changed. I'm watching this happen in America today. There are people who truly believe there are people who would put their lives on the line. That's how much they believe this. They truly believe that the President of the United States colluded with the Russians to get into office. They are 100% convinced of this. Now, I know a lot of you out there are laughing your buns off. It's not funny. This is serious. They are absolutely convinced that the president has committed treason. Why? Because of small bites here and there, so that now it's a huge chunk. Even after a 2.5 year-long investigation with tens of millions of dollars that were spent, with God knows how many witnesses that were brought forth, with over 1 million pieces of documents turned in, even after all of that, even after being found not guilty, they're still trying to indict the man. We have a serious this is a crisis. Meanwhile, we're literally being overwhelmed, just like a Trojan horse would overwhelm us. We're being overwhelmed at the southern border by God knows what is coming over. And we have representatives who are fighting a president who is wanting to stop it all. Any of this makes, I'm telling you, we live in a twilight zone. None of this makes sense. None of it. And if it doesn't make sense to you, why in the world would you want to bring someone back into that office that has been a part of all of this? I keep telling people we're in the twilight zone. We are. We're in the twilight zone. I swear. This is how my life feels sometimes when I'm looking and watching what's going on. It's like, oh my God, it's Rod Serling. Oh no, it's not. It's Riscala. Lord have mercy. This is your life, my friend. You have people in our government openly stating that they're not here to assimilate, they're here to dominate you. We have people in our government who have openly stated we are going to confiscate your guns. A direct... That's breaking the oath. That's breaking the contract of the office that they have taken. But yet they're getting away with it. How are they getting away with it? Because people are not responding. Everyday people are not taking the responsibility necessary to respond. And the response is, find somebody like Michael Bluemling Jr., excuse me. I swallowed, went down the wrong way. Find someone like Michael Bluemling Jr., who is going to be responsible, who's going to hold the others responsible. This is part of the problem that we're having today. There's a lot of them up there who know Joe Schmo hasn't done what he's supposed to do. Joe Schmo is in violation of this or that, but they're fearful of saying anything. We got to get away from that, because that's how this small group of people have been able to operate for so many years. They work on fear. They work on your fear. Look at what's going on with the mainstream media today. One of the greatest things they project upon the people is fear. Be afraid of this. Be afraid of that. We're going to go to war. We're not going to go to war. The tankers got torpedoes. Anything that can stir up fear within the people, because when people are in fear, they don't think properly. They're not clearly making logical decisions. And then these people, a small group of people, can continue doing what they're doing. When somebody says, I want to go run for this position, and that part of the responsibility of that position is to see to it that the federal government is funded financially. When someone that wants to run for a position like that says, well, you know what, I think it's only right that if we can't make the budget work, then we shouldn't get paid. Those are the kind of people that we need up there. Because right now, they don't care one way or another. That's all right if it works. That's no big deal if it doesn't work. We're going to get paid one way or another, but everybody else doesn't. They don't suffer. The very people who are responsible for it don't suffer. This is how... I'm back to the Twilight Zone. I'm telling you. We live in the Twilight Zone. The very people who are responsible for it don't suffer for any of it. I want to stop this nonsense. I really do. I'm trying to be lighthearted about part of it by playing the background music, but I really do want to stop. This is insane. This truly is insane. Not only that, but it is offensive to people like me who have fought for this country, physically fought for this country, who signed a check in blood for this country so that people would be free, so that our representatives would represent us. I think it's time to change all that, because what we have now is certainly not what I've described. I think it's past time to change all that. And I think one of the ways that we're going to do that is to find people like this young man here, who's going to go up there and kick you-know-what, take names, and hold himself responsible as well. That's important. Not be so proud that anything that you do is okay, but it doesn't matter if it breaks the law or not, because it's you that's doing it. Ring a bell? Hillary Clinton? I believe her time is coming as well. Anyway, Michael Bluemling Jr., running for Congress, District 21, Palm Beach County. Please support this man. Let's get somebody up there that's going to help represent us and benefit us, the people, not benefit the small group of an oligarchy. Basically, is what it's been. Running this country for God knows how long. It's been a small group of people. If you're not within the realms of those people, then basically you're out of luck, pal. You get the short stick. So help support Michael Bluemling Jr. for Congress, District 21, when you see his name come up, Michael Bluemling Jr., Republican, wow, getting close to midnight, guys. Republican that is running for District 21, Palm Beach County, Florida, please. Let's put some people up there. Let's start making some positive changes. I'm tired of all this negativity. Let's put some people up there who's going to bring some positive change and benefit us. And I believe this is someone that will. Anyway, we're at the end of the show. Thank you for listening. I didn't mention it all tonight. A thank you to all of you who have participated in helping keep the station going. Those of you who have subscribed, thank you so very much. I greatly appreciate it. Please tell your friends about what we do. And join in. Those of you who are not subscribers, I'm asking you, please take the time to subscribe. It's nothing. It literally is next to nothing. For a whole month, it's $5. It's literally nothing. Take the time to do that, and I'll catch you in about a week. In the meantime, those of you who like the fishing show, I'll be doing the fishing show tomorrow morning. Good night, everybody.
Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. Take the red pill, take the blue pill, take the red pill, take the blue pill. You take the red pill, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, 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 take the red. You stay in Wonderland. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.